hot button.
And we are back. This is the 2023 Hot Button Game of the Year award Deliberations. I'm Randall Beatrice here in the room, the studio, with Austin Blakesley.
Hello.
Sean Chambers.
Yeah, I'm here.
Matt Nudaboom.
Hello.
And joining us online is Andrew Banks.
Yeah, as long as the internet holds up.
From an undisclosed location.
$3 million bunker in
CIA black site.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody disclosed that, hey, I'm walking here.
We're going to keep the intros brief this episode, as there is still tons for us to talk about. We got 4 more categories today, including the collaborative ranking of our overall top 10. Originally, we were about to do 5, but then we realized it would just the best remake would go to RE4 instantly.
Congratulations, Capcom.
Yeah, they did it again.
They did it.
If you are unaware of the process or rules, then fuck you. Go back and listen to part 1. How often I gotta repeat myself.
We argue with each other and then we fold.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll pick it
It's a war of attrition. That's all you have to know.
Yep.
You'll pick it up. It's easy.
It's basically a war of the wills. How much does this other person really give a shit about
Yeah.
this? I will fight you more for it.
How hungry are you? at this
Yeah.
game?
The
How
episodes
hungry
get
are
shorter
you?
and shorter because we get more and more apathetic as
Yes,
we,
oh,
as we age.
1,000%. And also, as we go deeper into the night, we're just
That's true,
like,
it's
whatever,
true.
just
Yeah.
take it.
What time
I
is
don't-
it? I guess.
Yeah, it's like, dude.
First at the bat, we have Best Surprise. I like this one. Basically, what title, surprised us the most in a positive way. It could mean going in with low expectations and leaving impressed, or it could be a release that dropped out of nowhere. You get it.
Yeah. We'll do best surprise in a negative way next.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to clarify the semantics, because technically biggest surprise could also, count as the
Yeah,
biggest
that's why
disappointment.
That's why it's Best
I have
Surprise,
biggest
not Biggest
surprise.
Surprise.
He said
Oh,
best.
oh,
let
okay.
me clarify this in a completely straightforward fashion. It's unexpectedly bad and unexpectedly good. Those
We're
are the
doing
categories.
unexpectedly good first.
Yes. The short list is Hi-Fi Rush, Street Fighter 6, Baldur's Gate 3, Cocoon, Mortal Kombat 1, Chance of Sonar, The Crew Motorfest, Dead Island 2, 6 Days in Fallujah,
Yeah.
Pizza Tower, Quake 2 Enhanced Edition, The Exit 8, Lethal Company, Trepang 2, F-Zero 99, and RoboCop Rogue City.
I added
Wait,
one.
there's one more.
Oh,
RoboQuest.
RoboQuest. Okay.
Yes.
For the Commodore 64.
RoboCop, RoboQuest.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a funny thought experiment. Time travel back about 10 years and tell somebody that Baldur's Gate 3 and 6 Days in Fallujah are both going to come out, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already kind of revealed that the next one, the next category is going to be biggest disappointment or best disappointment.
I thought-
most disappointing.
Most disappointing? I thought we were
yeah.
doing most disappointing first.
No, we're gonna.
we're doing biggest surprise first.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
keep
Best
the
surprise.
2 negative awards together, and then.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Bookend them by the positives.
And I'm gonna say now that I put F-Zero 99 in both because I found it
Yeah,
disappointing.
why?
Because a new F-Zero game came out. That's why I
Don't
put it
do
in-
that.
that's
No,
why-
I agree.
Don't do
I
that.
agree. Also, did you put Mortal Kombat 1 also in biggest?
I did not.
Okay, never mind.
No,
then.
I
I
put
think-
it in most disappointing.
Gotcha.
Austin has it in most disappointing, and I have it in biggest surprise, and I think that means it's not going to win in either category.
Yeah.
I don't have it in either.
You want to
but-
do a mutual cut?
Yeah, I think that's.
We'll
you
do
just
a
know-
mutual cut. Let's just discuss real quick. I have it on biggest surprise because adding in the cameo system that they added in here, as well as finding a way to sequel their way out of a timeline reset, were both huge surpririzes to me.
That was a delightful surprise. Although it's funny, I actually.
The cameo system is why it's in most
Me
disappointing
too. For me, well,
Yeah.
it's not in most disappointing for me, but I personally do not like that the Marvel vs. Capcom style cameo. Is just I don't know it to me it makes the action confusing and difficult to follow, and particularly with repeats of the same fighters.
Mhm.
I also kind of find it unwieldy and a sort of immersion breaking. I know I'm in the minority apparently with the hardcore MK people, but it's like I miss the stage interactivity. I'd rather jump off a wall or pick up a hammer and clobber someone with it. Now the levels are just meaningless backgrounds.
So this, both of your dissents on it, and I do have a complaint as well where I'll bring it up in most disappointing. But competitively, they definitely answered a lot of long-standing problems.
Sure, I guess I'm not in that hopper, but
sure, yeah, and also just having an assist system, the way that they handled it, which could have very easily gone wrong, and it could still stand to be better. We'll see. But it just adds so much depth to a game like this because now it's like, how can I combine this with that? And that is a great quality to have in a fighting game. I
like Mortal Kombat 1 a lot. I wish the roster was stronger, but and also the last thing that I'm going to point out, but this is not exclusive to this game or this entry in this franchise, but it's like I don't like that there's locked cameo fighters. I think that's annoying.
That was annoying as shit.
And I love NetherRealm. Stop with the pre-order characters as well. I know it's not
online nonsense. Yeah, we can cut it. But that was still a huge surprise.
Are we cutting F-099?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just did that to be cute.
Oh, wasn't?
Oh, it's so cute.
All right.
By the way, does Mortal Kombat 1 still have the tokens for easy fatalities?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also they added a third currency now too. So there's
all right, I can make some quick cuts.
I will talk more about F-099.
Some quick cuts. Stop me if you disagree, but I don't think anybody will. So Dead Island 2, me and Matt played it.
Yes.
I put it on here mainly because it came out and isn't bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
After how many years?
I know.
And how many companies? 3 developers?
I think it was 4 developers and a decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one of those where it's like, man, that's going to come out the same year as 6 Days in Fallujah. And
Yeah.
Oh.
So we can cut
that trailer. I think was officially 10 years old.
That
2013.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Speaking of 6 Days in Fallujah, Matt added that on here.
I did. Yes.
Probably for me to talk about it.
I do, and I also
that's its own hot button episode in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Once that we know what that's actually going to be, because it's still early access. But.
So. Okay, it is early. I didn't know it was still early access, but I think this is a serious contender because. I mean, maybe it's just what I heard about it, but it's
the most surprising. I wouldn't call it the best surprise.
Yeah.
Man, we are really getting nitpicky with these award categories.
The game is surprisingly good.
Competent, yeah.
I didn't have the best time with it because it requires multiplayer and you need 4 people, and I'm the only one that owns it because Matt bought it for me.
If you don't know the story of that game, then... wait, no, and you know what? If you don't know the story, I was going to say go to Wikipedia, but don't do that. Just wait a couple months and then we'll do it. It's truly insane that exists.
It's hilarious. The ideologies of that game are so funny. And there's quotes from soldiers in the loading screens, and then when you die, there's quotes from Al Qaeda. It's so insane.
Based off the very real. Well, wait, is it still a roguelike?
Roguelike's a stretch.
Well
that's
Procgen isn't necessarily.
Sorry,
no,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
Is it roguelike?
How do you
roguelite?
You shouldn't be able to procedurally generate a real that you're telling a true story of.
No, you should not.
I mean, if you're telling a true story, you shouldn't have any agency to change it at all, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I would just say it hits that itch, that original Rainbow Six itch a little bit.
I think
with the tacticalness of it.
I think on this list, I think it stays, in my opinion, on this list.
Like I said,
you said you yourself said it is the most surprising, but is not the best. I'm like, I don't know, man. If it's the most surprising, it's the most surprising. I think we can all admit.
We'll leave it.
Yeah.
All right. The one. Yeah. This is the logical next one for me.
They made a good crew game.
Third time's the charm. Apparently,
I think it's better than Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
It's still a racing game, so it's not that surprising that they just stole from Forza Horizon and made a good game.
Yeah,
but it is surprising that I played.
They barely promoted it too. I think they got cold feet.
I did Ubisoft Plus so that I could play Assassin's Creed Mirage, which we will get to in the next category. But but then I was like, I got it. The crew came out and I played it, and I put 8 hours into it.
Yeah.
Not nearly complete. It's it's a RPG, so it's 50 hours long, right? Nice. But It surprisingly good, and I really like what they did with like the mission sets in that game are all like documentary style, where it's like, you know, we're gonna talk about the decades-long battle between Lamborghini and Ferrari, and then you just do a bunch of races where you drive in Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and it's pretty cool, but it's not nearly high enough. There's way better stuff on this list.
Ferrari getting a lot of media coverage this year.
That's true.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay.
They just said that new movie that.
Yeah.
All right, I know at least 3 of us on this call feel very good about this game, but I don't think it's going to be top 2, which is Quake 2 Enhanced Edition.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, only because
I don't think it's surprising.
Well, because of who made it.
Yeah, because they already did Quake 1 really well, and Quake 2 is just better Quake 1.
No, you're right. It's just a masterful remake in terms of features. I mean, the
compass is awesome.
The compass, oh my god, is the addition of that ping is brilliant, and like, but it's just and also I think we pointed out we were playing the growth in level design that happens just in a single year makes all the difference.
That's just the original
I know,
Quake.
and Quake 1, like it's like I'm not dogging on Quake 1. I've always preferred 2 to 1 as I'm forever sci-fi over fantasy. But even with that, it's like I mean, and because Quake 2 is always slapped. It's just that I was even in that camp back in the day. But it's just this remaster. There's the endless options out the gate for single player and multiplayer in every mode and form, online, offline, and LAN that you can do, co-op or versus, and any combination of the 3 is like unheard of, you know, and you know, you can map controls and inputs however you like.
It shouldn't be either.
Yeah, you're right. It's
in
every worthy historic title such as this should get that treatment. You know, there's additional campaigns from Machine Games in there. All of Quake 64.
The problem is when you take
the
game
CRT filter
that was built to be played on computers in 1998 and run it on computers and consoles that are built in 2020.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with it because it runs at like 5,000 frames per second.
That's what I talked about on last episode, that for a moment was playing 8-player split screen, and that is definitely one of those things that's like, well, it'll work. We could do it. Throw it in there.
I know. I love that mentality so much. Yeah. Like, I don't know. What's the most we can do? 8? All right, let's just do that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We can connect 8 controllers to an Xbox. Like, let's just do 8 players.
The only limit is our imagination.
We were messing around to like the different ways you can tweak the graphics, because the upgrades are great, but it's like you can go back to making like the old models and the jerky animation
Square
if you want.
pixels, CRT filters. Yeah, it's really good.
It's great.
But
yeah,
we could cut it though.
What about the Exit 8?
Yeah, I said my piece about Exit 8 quite a bit in part 1. You know, that's one of those things that just sort of you know, showed up on Steam and then positive word of mouth kind of spread around.
You're expecting it to be a shitty Steam game and it wasn't.
Yes, that's actually exactly and the fact that, you know, it was just a couple dollars, like, but yeah, no, that can go.
Are we starring stuff? Are we just waiting?
Let's wait a little bit first.
Because I was gonna say I got one that I think deserves the win.
All right, well, let's do some of the cuts then.
Okay. Let me talk about. Go ahead, Andrew.
Because I have like multiple I can get rid of.
I've got a package deal on like a how do we want to evaluate this kind of thing with Street Fighter 6 and Baldur's Gate 3. Because Baldur's Gate 3 was an early access and Street Fighter 6 had a demo. Technically, the surprising thing about Street Fighter 6 to me was last year, or 2022, you know?
Yeah.
So, because that was when we got the information and first got to play it. But it is extremely surprising.
Then you saw that ugly logo.
I put it on here because it's just so much better than 5. But again, I don't know how surprising it was that it was so much better than 5.
I mean, it's surprising exactly how they very intelligently solved some big problems.
Yeah.
With like the drive system is both a greatest hits of Street Fighter and also makes the game easier to learn and also like allows for a lot more creativity. But yeah, it's like, do we care that surprise was last year? And then likewise, Baldur's Gate 3 had an early access period, but it was a surprise to me this year.
It was a surprise to a lot of people, but like people who played the early access version, like my former roommate Josh was like super into the early access version, and he was the first one that was like, "You got to play."
Did he
Baldur's
predict
Gate.
that it was going to be like one of the top rated?
I mean,
games?
he likes Divinity. Like people who played Divinity were like preaching Larian's ability since this was announced.
So regarding Baldur's Gate 3, this game was like to illustrate how little I was surprised.
How little you're surprised.
Okay, we've been to PAX East, Andrew, past couple of years. Yep. When the Baldur's Gate 3 booth started showing up, obviously I remarked about it in my write-ups for it. Go back to the very first year that I saw the Baldur's Gate 3 thing. I am fairly sure I said exactly, I'm like, this is a very talented RPG company who is now handling a very beloved IP, and I'm like, this has Game of the Year written all over it. It's like it's like you can see it coming from a mile away. It's like you trust Larian. It's like Larian has not failed so far. They're going to do even better, and they are bringing back Baldur's Gate.
I guess it just wasn't in my wheelhouse because when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I was like, well, I guess
it's one of those things where people who were in the know knew that Larian was the perfect choice to revive Baldur's Gate, but a lot of us were not in the know. Okay. A lot of us did not play Divinity.
Maybe you could see it. Yeah, maybe you could see it from a mile away, but we were looking the other direction.
Still, I don't think either of these are at the top of my list personally.
Yeah, in fact,
Street Fighter or Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
I want to say
surprise. Yeah,
I want to say maybe I might even say directly this is going to be Game of the Year when it comes out. But I don't want to like put myself down. But I'm nearly.
You don't want to put words in your own mouth.
But I am positive that I thought it the second I saw it, and I'm like, this is Game of the Year.
We're cutting them.
And as we cut Street Fighter 6, I will say that I was especially surprised that they made a Street Fighter game that I was excited to play, because 4 and 5 were not it. So I thought Street Fighter was done appealing to the likes of me, and they even undid a lot of the problems that they created in the genre. So good on them.
So I'm gonna go over 2 shooters. One of them in particular does not belong here, but is RoboCop Rogue City. It's not good, but it's not fucking terrible like that GameCube and Xbox one.
Well, also like the games that studio has made.
Yeah, like the
Rambo.
The Rambo one. But so
the Terminator.
Yeah, so to be fair, I only did the demo, but the demo is it's a pretty decent slice. And by the end of it, I got what I wanted. It didn't help that controller support was utterly broken in it, but it's
Paul Verhoeven is rolling over in his future grave.
Nobody can capture that that tone.
Because,
they tried. They tried to capture the spirit of it, like it's
But it's not.
I fucking love the original RoboCop.
I know the original RoboCop is amazing, but what it stands for, I don't feel like the game captures by just turning you into a murderer. Like maybe it does, but I don't know.
I mean, it's like it looks good. The gunplay is solid. You walk, you shoot. You walk, you shoot. You feel it moves like nothing truly different.
Cool.
It gets repetitive.
It's cool as shit. Stop turning Paul Verhoeven movies into video games. You can't do it.
You really can't. Yeah, Starship Troopers keeps trying. Yeah. And I mean, they did get Peter Weller back.
They did.
It's all right. I mean, he came back also for Mortal Kombat 11.
Also did that, yeah.
I mean, you're throwing people through walls and whatnot, and it's like I just think it's interesting. A lot of people are saying this game is underrated. I still think it's overrated. But if it was this is where the Game Pass deal should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think then maybe I'd feel differently than it being like $50.
Honestly, when the demo for this dropped and most of the feedback that I was like seeing was positive, that was a surprise to me. Because I thought this thing was DOA.
Yeah, I thought it was too. But I think that just goes to show how desperate people are for just like a good or just like a decent shooter campaign and corridor shooter.
Am I wrong in remembering that like it feels like a decent PS2 shooter? I think I read something.
That's probably where I would. I mean, there's better shooters on the PS2, but it has that vibe. Yeah. It is a BS.
That struck a chord with me personally, but
all right, we cut it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so that'll segue me into Trepang 2, which might be the worst name for a product ever.
Is there a Trepang 1?
There's no Trepang 1.
I thought so. Yeah.
And there's no meaning.
Is it squared?
There's no meaning for it in the game. Like,
there's some JRPGs and anime fighters I can point you to. In titles.
I guess you're not wrong, but still, it's stupid. I mean, so it's inspired by Fear.
Fear
which
game.
I love.
Yeah.
Yes, there hasn't been anything quite like it till now, and they did an awesome job of replicating the combat and aesthetic of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's got the slow motion and killer gore effects. The the lighting and destructibility and the environments. It needed more of the horror sequences though and boss encounters to break up the action though, like with that Fear, like that's what Fear does super well. And
did you play the full game?
I did, because my roommate bought it. There's not enough quiet moments. It's all noises and explosions all the time, which is still fun, but it's missing that heart. And you needed more variation of like where you are.
Even in the demo, the level design got very samey and repetitive.
It did.
So that's why I didn't end up picking it up.
Not as repetitive as RoboCop. And also, they needed more guns to fill your arsenal. Like, in that demo, that's kind of all of them.
I think one of the things
if it's on sale, I recommend it. Like, it'll keep you occupied. It's not very long.
I was definitely, as a Fear guy.
Yeah, same. I remember we co-opted 3.
Yeah, I was definitely super interested by this.
Yeah.
But I think what makes Fear so good with it's the combination.
Yeah,
right?
and then,
when you go from like the balls to the wall sequences of slow mo and all that, and then you're just walking down a hallway and a light flickers and it's dead quiet.
It changes like genres.
Yes, it's just way up and then way down. So
I will say, like, all the fights definitely give it that like bring it on attitude, but you don't feel like you're being hunted like in Fear. Like, like Fear is it's kind of crazy how scary it is considering how like over the top it also is. But it's like this has all the sparks, you know, shooting out. It's real impressive for a new studio of their size, and also that it was able to run on my computer. So I give them that. But we can get it.
Okay.
What if we cut Cocoon?
Yeah. So Cocoon.
The pedigree was always there. Like, I'm sure when it got announced, we were probably paying attention.
I was not surprised that Cocoon was good. Because it had a lot of positive buzz coming out of Summer Games Fest, which is why I played at that, and it was on Game Pass. So, yeah, I'm okay with cutting Cocoon.
All right.
And also, like, I think that game is really good, but like if we're talking about like difference between expectations and outcome, you know, I don't think it's top 2. So
yeah.
I think we can.
We'll discuss that game.
Chance of Sonar.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Under the same vein, that idea.
Really?
I played it because that idea sounded so cool, and I was mostly surprised that they nailed it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I got positive buzz.
After I got a
it's
little
weird
time
when you play an indie game months later and you're like, oh, this is actually good. Is that the kind of surprise we're going for? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I wasn't surprised because the only reason I played it was because a lot of people said it was very good, and they were right.
And it was funny. I had the same thing because you told me, it was like, you should play this. It's out. And then, I was like, oh yeah, that thing. And I was like, this is really good. So yeah. Oh, sorry, I meant Cocoon. I forgot Chance of Sonar. But I was reading down the list. But yeah. All
right.
I have not played Chance of Sonar. I do want to.
Let me get RoboQuest out of the way.
Okay.
Because I don't think it hangs. I just wanted to give them a shout out because I just bought it recently. And I like roguelikes a lot. I like shooters a lot.
Yes.
I have been disappointed in every attempt for people to merge those two genres that I have played. With the exception of Returnal. Returnal is a third-person shooter, and is a little bit different. I'm not a huge fan of Gunfire Reborn.
No.
Not a big fan of Ziggurat.
I think Gunfire Reborn sucks.
Yeah. Not a big fan of... I'm not even a big fan of Risk of Rain 2, which some people say is one of the best roguelikes ever made. This game is delivering on what I was promised with Gunfire Reborn, which is what if Borderlands was a roguelike? But it's a lot more... But the gameplay of it is a lot more Halo. It's a lot more like corridor shootery. You're just going down hallways and then they branch off, but the guns are Borderlands. Like, you have like Gatling guns and bows and arrows and chainsaws and electrified boxing gloves and pistols and snipers, and like they get very inventive with the types of guns you get. And like the leveling up of everything. The roguelike loop of it is very good. And it's also it also does a really good job of being a roguelike that can be played co-op, a roguelike shooter that can be co-op or single player and be good in both. Because that was my problem with Gunfire Reborn and Risk of Rain, is that I don't think that they're very good games by yourself. And I can agree. I'm not trying to set up a night for me and my friends to play a roguelike. Like, I'd rather play a Remnant 2 or something like that. Yeah. But this was just if you are into roguelikes and you are into shooters, I highly, highly recommend RoboQuest. It's probably the best roguelike shooter I've played.
Huh. Yeah, and just really quick, as somebody who's put way too many hours into Gunfire Reborn, because it was kind of like something that
scratched that itch. I was playing it with people. Yeah. Exactly, and they were kind of
is on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, and it was shockingly, like I discovered it like maybe a month ago or something. Yeah, same. And it was like shockingly well reviewed, and I was like, hey guys, remember how much time we put in that bad game? Now we can put it into a good game. Yeah. So I definitely wanted to check this out. So
I highly recommend.
I definitely plan on it.
How many are left? Do we want to do?
We have to talk about 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. We got 3 games left to talk about.
Okay.
And then we have the only one we talked about is 6 Days in Fallujah. So we have Lethal Company, Pizza Tower, and Hi-Fi Rush left.
Huh.
Okay, so, I mean, it's funny, Hi-Fi Rush is like the definition of, now I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but we should point out, it was shadow dropped.
Yeah.
And it's also from Tango Gameworks, which is wild.
The Ghostwire Tokyo people made one of the best Devil May Cry games ever made. Yeah.
Or this is this is the team that directly that made Evil Within 1 and 2.
Yep.
It's like...
Yeah, I would lock Hi-Fi Rush,
I'd be hard pressed to do.
Yeah. So this is okay. So I don't want to single a game out, but I think now that we're down to 4, I think that if I was going to star a game, it would either be Hi-Fi Rush or Lethal Company.
Lethal Company is my number 2.
I think that those 2 have the best shot at winning this category. And we haven't talked about Pizza Tower yet, and I don't want to get ahead of myself and say it doesn't hang, but...
So Pizza Tower was a surprise just because, I mean, it came out in January, which is a weird, and that was another one of those, like, people are just like, you see this shit? You seeing this? And then eventually it, I was watching a friend of ours, Conroy, stream it, and I was like, this looks insane.
Yeah.
I was like, I could
just imagine him
surprising that somebody's brain...
That's exactly.
It's surprising that somebody's brain is broken enough to make that game, but also not broken enough to make a video game, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's just running around in his mind, but he's still able to program.
Yeah.
But between the 2, I would still say I was most surprised in terms of like what I thought it was going to be and what I actually got out of it. Then it's Lethal Company. No, I mean excluding Hi-Fi Rush, but it's like I'm still against the performative streamer game. But like I got on board with the craze thanks to you, Matt, because it's got pretty fun.
It's got the ass to back up the bike.
Yeah, I said this before.
It's Unity jank done right.
I cannot stand Phasmophobia.
No, me neither.
I do not like that game, and I wrote Lethal Company off as another Phasmophobia fad.
Yeah.
And then your brother Chris,
this at least a style.
I was like, I want to try it, but I don't know. And then he just gifted it to me for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I hopped into a game with you guys, and I was blown away by just how much fun it enables.
It's what it like.
I mean, we covered the fun.
I know the enemies and situations are real novel. What it does with
sequence,
what it does with communication mechanics, they're very clever. But the thing I want to, it's like I enjoy its like slapstick comedy of errors.
Yes,
like in the execution of how you improv like various like
that's the thing that
solutions
in
to
a world
shit that happens
in a world full of good ideas executed on poorly through the Unity engine.
Yeah,
stuff like Phasmophobia and House Flipper and even I'll say Power Wash Simulator, although I know people like that game. Like it doesn't. It's got style.
Yeah.
It's got an art style. The animations are silly
That's
as
what I was
shit.
about to say. They really compensated for their budget with the character designs. And
the running animation is one of the funniest things I've ever
the way
seen.
that they bob they just look ridiculous. Like, just the act of moving is funny. Like, it's like,
Listen, I don't
shout outs to the special Spencer Mansion levels that are in the game. I thought you guys downloaded a mod, but
I did
that's
too.
just in the game.
That's just
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and I'm going to throw it to Matt after this, but I kind of feel like this is the 2.
I agree.
I was gonna pitch.
Just what order?
We cut 6 Days in Fallujah and we cut Pizza Tower and we just argue who wins between Hi-Fi Rush and Lethal Company.
Yeah, I also,
Everybody good with that?
You know what? I'm fine with it. I was gonna say the 3 that it came down to for me, and so here's the thing. Hi-Fi Rush, we've already showered with accolades quite a lot.
No, you're not wrong. It's just that it's like that's just the way the categories worked out this year. But it's literally called if we're talking about the best surprise, it'd be the game it's out now, and also it's one of the top
I know,
rated
and
games
it's just
of the
like,
year.
and it's just
You
like,
know?
and
the fact like the industry is such a leaky ship. How the fuck did that not?
I know.
Like people knew that Tango Gameworks was making something else, but like I think only like a couple weeks before that not press conference, but the direct thing. But it was like that never got out online. Like what that was like.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
so,
is
pretty impressive.
No,
to
it's
do.
like it is hard
Or
to
near
to
impossible.
deny that it's like, yes, it was a total surprise. It was not just a surprise for us. Everybody in the industry commented on the fact that nobody saw this coming, and it's delightful. Not to mention the fact most people point out, it's like people love this game because it's not like the games that get made these days.
No.
It's true.
Nor like what they normally.
And it's
usually
like
make.
if I am being, when objective's not the right word, but it's like if I'm being considerate that it's like, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush needs to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And Lethal Company, I love that game, and I think it deserves a shout out. So it's just like, all right, fine. If I'm gonna give up anything, I'm gonna give up 6 Days in Fallujah. If it were my choice, I would have gone with Lethal Company and 6 Days in Fallujah.
Okay.
But it's like it's hard to deny that it's like, yeah, it was a huge thing when Hi-Fi Rush came out. It was everybody was
I
surprised.
mean, we can still
say a final sayonara or marinara to rest in pepperoni,
Rest in pepperoni,
pepino spaghetti.
pepino spaghetti, and hoorah to the soldiers of the war of the Battle of Fallujah.
Yes.
I mean, between the two, where does everybody? I think we've kind of said our
this
pieces.
is so
but-
tough.
I know
Yeah.
because for
Surprising
me,
for
it's
different reasons.
for me, it's my
Yes.
game of the year came out of nowhere versus a game that I thought I would loathe.
Same.
And like
We all,
quite a bit.
in fact, before you joined, we all predicted that you would loathe it. Like, even
Yeah.
Alfred was like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to play. I'm like, I'm going to make him play.
No, you forced me to. and I'm glad
I
you
forced
did.
you to play.
We also did a pincer maneuver because while you guys were discussing that, I was here after the episode that we did.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or no,
and you were
after
telling
band
me
practice,
about your like.
and
yeah,
I was
you were
like,
talking about
dude, they're all in there.
experience.
Just
Yeah.
we share Steam games. Just hop in, give it a
Yeah.
shot.
Like it's
I think
$10. Oh
you'll
yeah, you were
enjoy
just
it.
telling me to download yours. Yeah.
And then when I got home, I saw him in the call, and I was like, wait, he's not using my Steam library.
I
I
was
hopped
like-
in the call. You're like, I bought it for him.
I literally forced Randy to play this
Yeah.
game. I was like, buy it. I even was just like, download these mods, do this. And then it's like, yeah.
So I'm torn as well. I mean, it's because we're not pitting them against each other in terms of quality. We're pitting them against each other in terms of surprise.
I
Oh,
know.
we never could.
So yeah,
If it's a matter, I love Lethal Company a lot, but if it's a matter of quality,
Well, yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush wins.
I just wanted to specify.
But-
That's the problem. Is okay. Here's my only holdup. It's like in terms of quality, it's Hi-Fi Rush. I'm a sucker for variety, and now I'm just like I hate it when a game gets it's racking up multiple awards. I'm like, split it up, but it's like it's true. It's in terms of quality, it's the
All
biggest
right,
surprise
I
of the
think
year.
Hi-Fi Rush gets its just desserts in other categories. So
Sure, all right, then if that's the case, I'm officially changing the name of this category to biggest surprise and not best surprise.
okay,
I
well that's what it's written down as.
know,
You
but
changed it.
no, I guess I did.
I was gonna say no.
I'm reverting to the original canon.
I know what happens. Like in the middle of the episode, he changed the wordage, so it's like it fits exactly what he needs.
I think I just got used to writing the word best so many times.
Yeah.
So my proposal is a Lethal Company Hi-Fi Rush with the runner-up.
Okay.
Everybody cool
yeah.
with that?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
I kind of want to have a thorn in my side about this, but I'm not going to.
It's
Shadow dropped. It's beautiful.
I know.
It's heartwarming.
Listen, I could.
And Lethal Company did blow up, and it's very surprising. But I don't know. It's like all the machinations. But either way, I'm
You know what?
satisfied. I don't want to just be like diplomatic and be like, oh, Hi-Fi Rush getting too much praise.
Right.
'Cause
No, I
think-
understand what you're saying now.
You know what I mean?
But
Shit,
Sean's
but-
making me flip the other way.
But also here's the thing too, because it's like I see what you're saying, but to be fair, it's not Lethal Company. it's not just us who's surprised by it. There is a lot of.
I mean, it's not just us who were surprised by Hi-Fi Rush either.
Yeah, fuck. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I take it back. Let's stick a fork in this,
All
baby.
right.
Because what's more, I think we
probably
vote? Know where Andrew stands. Well, because I'm still.
Well, if we vote, it's Hi-Fi Rush. Because if it's me and Matt for Lethal Company and you and Sean for Hi-Fi Rush, and we haven't heard from Andrew. Andrew only played one of these games.
That's true.
Yeah.
So. I'm trying again. I'm going in my head. I'm saying, is there a bigger difference between me suddenly playing, like me finding a game I love again that's just like that just randomly appears, or something that for weeks I was like digging my heels in, just being like, fuck that.
Well, you know what's funny too is like I didn't even
so.
like really make any contributions in the Lethal Company conversation, because I also, when it came out, I was like, okay, Among Us fodder.
Yeah.
It'll last a couple weeks and everyone will move on.
It's just kind of catching the trend and whatever. And then as the like maybe weeks and months go by, I'm like, wait, is this Among Us fodder? You know? And then I see people doing like
I thought it was Phasmo
runs.
fodder, and then it was like a month after, and it was like it was trickling through our group, and then
I don't know. That's why it's like I understand the argument from both sides, but for me, even the biggest surprise is like this single player action rhythm game, in this art style.
And it's funny because
and so polished.
For real. And it's, I think, I guess if Hi-Fi Rush was announced and then eventually came out, I would have been super excited.
That's the thing. The time between me playing it and me seeing the trailer was a couple
of hours.
But the second I saw that trailer, I was like, "This game's gonna fucking rule!" Yeah. And it did. And that's the thing. The argument that I put in the camp of Lethal League is that I actively avoided playing it for months. Yeah. And then I was like, "Me too." Okay. And then I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it in a way I never thought I would with a $10 Steam game that's a Twitch trend.
Yeah.
So
and only on PC.
Yes. Well, with controller support.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Oh,
maybe I'm back on Lethal Company then.
I think we just.
It feels so weird to give that an award over Hi-Fi Rush, but it's not about that. It's just about.
Yeah.
But we've given so many awards to Lethal Company or to Hi-Fi Rush over Lethal Company, and we'll continue to do so.
I was gonna say, I know that it's gonna keep. Yeah, that's it. It's
there
like
you
the
go.
accolades are gonna keep coming for Hi-Fi Rush.
All right,
that's
Lethal
fine.
Company 1, Hi-Fi Rush 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
writing
it in my
computer. I threw a wrench in
right
that.
now.
Sorry. I fully take it back.
You know what? I'm pleased with it. As much as like it's like, yeah, I'm pleased with that. We need to give a shout out to a game besides Hi-Fi Rush.
Make me. Well,
okay, we just did. Yeah, no problem. We just did.
Well, it's all right because Hi-Fi Rush couldn't be further from what's next. Now it's time for the other side of the same coin. Most disappointing. What game really let us down? What could have been far better? What set expectations too high for what it was in the end? It doesn't have to be like a terrible game, as you know, we'll see. But so far we have chosen Redfall, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Forspoken, Meet Your Maker, Payday 3, Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Mortal Kombat 1, Starfield, Viewfinder, Immortals of Avium. I'm pronouncing that right.
Yep.
City Skylines 2, Alan Wake 2, F-099, Alien Hominid Invasion, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Exoprimal, and the finals.
Man,
You skipped one.
I did?
Yeah.
Atomic Heart.
Oh, I did skip Atomic Heart.
Heart. Yeah.
Your bias is showing.
No, I was pretty let down by the disappointed with Atomic Heart. I didn't even finish it.
Can I get out in front of this?
Listen,
when Forspoken came out, and
also no Diablo 4 in this list. People feel good about that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not disappointing.
But when Forspoken came out, I don't know who all else played it or even finished it.
I beat it.
Okay, same.
Wow.
It's not that like it
It's
wasn't
pretty good.
oversold.
It's
it wasn't
pretty good.
oversold, and it didn't underdeliver.
The reason I added it to
I mean,
this list,
people were dogpiling on it.
Yeah.
the reason
it was
I added
easy
it to this list is because it's disappointing that it's not better.
I guess.
Because I really enjoyed that game in a way that I didn't think I would based on what other people were saying about it, but I also can't argue with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I can't say they're wrong.
Right.
I just think it nails some stuff that's really hard to nail, like combat, and then falters in everything that's been figured out for decades. I don't understand how they made that game wrong in all the easy ways.
I played the demo,
good in all
and
the hard ways.
The combat was pretty fluid, and like there's the traversal stuff.
It's actually like,
but it's
so much fun.
This goes to, no, you're
Games
right,
are
but I mean,
fun,
yeah,
and
but
the combat's fun.
This goes to show how important dialogue and writing actually is, because if it's not in a game at all, you don't notice it, but when it's bad,
no,
then,
I understand that, and I definitely, maybe you can agree with me on this. Wasn't holding my breath for when the game released, from when the trailer came out. So you're right, it could have been better, right? And it could have nailed some of the aspects more, but in the aspects that it did nail, were pretty good.
I wanted to talk about it because I think it was. I think it was underrated.
I agree.
But I put it on here because it's not going to be talked about in worst game, and it's also not going to be talked about in best game.
Right.
And so
it's definitely the middle.
There's a few of those
game
on here, actually.
I wanted to talk about it before we go on to those categories. We can cut it. I don't think it's nearly as disappointing as any of the other stuff on this list. I just needed to talk about it because I think it deserves a second chance. For, if you can pick it up for a small, not $60, a cheaper price, then by all means go for it, because it's got a lot of good ideas.
And I'm glad that you did put it on here, because I've been feeling that since the game came out and since I finished it. It's like I just feel like Randy said it. People dogpiled. It was easy to do. It was like, let me clip this part of the game.
That's exactly it.
And then somebody makes their whole
you
judgment
have wonky
on
facial animation, and then that's it.
But it is not the most disappointing. You are not the most disappointing game.
Can I comment on one of your entries, Randy?
Oh, sure.
Exoprimal. So you put Exoprimal in disappointing, and then I copy and pasted it into worst game because I don't think it was disappointing.
No, it's terrible. It's
awful, and I didn't think it looked good when they were talking about it.
I didn't either. I'm just shocked that
Capcom let it out the door with all the rest of the shit they're doing.
You're disappointed in Capcom.
I'm disappointed in Capcom.
I mean, they did Street Fighter 6 and the RE4 remake.
I know.
They're both amazing,
and it's like. And
they'll both
they
probably
managed to
be
bring,
in our top 10.
They managed to
That's a good batting average.
Yeah. They managed to have a Monster Hunter finally resent with people in the West, and the Devil May Cry 5, all this shit, fucking Resident Evil's just been killing it release after release, and what?
You're gonna hit a couple fouls, you know? When you step
they
up
can't
the
knock
plate.
it out of the ballpark every time. But the funny thing about this is their trailer too, when you're like, oh shit, is Dino Crisis back? I see a chick with red hair, and then they're still just like,
get baited, idiot.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the Evolve people, by the way?
No,
no,
it's Capcom. No. This game sucks.
They just needed to verify that they weren't too amazing as a.
And we will talk more about how much this game.
Let's cut it for now. We'll put a pin in this, and then.
All right. So on a similar note, I see Redfall on here. This seems like it belongs more in the
we can cut Redfall. We'll talk about it in the next category.
Okay, I have a lot written down for it. I'm sure you have a ton on your mind. Let's just say that the reason it's here is the
studio.
The pedigree.
Yeah.
The pedigree.
Exactly.
I love Deathloop, as you can go back and hear about on
I think that was
the
2
first
years ago.
Game of the Year we did.
I was gonna say it's like you could convince me that it's disappointing and not just dog shit. But it's like
disappointing dog shit.
Will talk about it in the next category.
Okay.
Trust me.
It's a red fart.
All right. Gross.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna for reasons we kind of already discussed. We can probably cut Mortal Kombat 1 because I think it also resonated enough with a couple of us on a couple different levels that there's no way it's most disappointing. But I would say the thing that I was most disappointed by in it was removing the crypt in place of their
that
invasions mode.
Sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what. They were
that mode is terrible, and ordinarily Mortal Kombat has several pillars that offer this entire box product a lot of value. So there's like there's what do you call it? Like a actual competitive mode. There's the story mode. There's the towers, and then there was up until now there was the crypt. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. It's like even if you didn't like every single one of those modes, you probably really liked a couple of them. And the crypt was grindy in its own way, right? Like the reason that the crypt exists and the reason that invasions exist is the same reason. It is to just like keep you playing longer artificially. But that's exactly what it is. But the grind for the crypt, at least after a handful of patches, was nowhere near as bad as the grind for invasions. And also, it was still a fun like labyrinth to solve, like a Metroidvania, and that is now gone. And instead, they are just after seasonal content because that's what everybody's trying to make right now. Yeah. And it is such a downgrade for the value of that package. Whereas, like, because I bought, the fancy edition that came with the season pass or whatever, and I would have said that you get the value for that $100 or whatever that cost easily until now, right? Like, I would have said, like, look, there's so much to do in this box that $60 is probably too cheap for the past couple versions, for what you get for it. And now that they gutted one of the more interesting modes, it's like it's missing a lot of that value now. I still like it a lot, but that mode is a huge disappointment. Yeah. But yeah, no way this is most disappointing. So
agreed.
Okay, we can cut that.
One of mine is the finals, and I'm more than willing to let that go. That was sort of another, not shadow drop because they did tests.
It's been in beta for like 6 months.
Yeah, there was numerous of those that ran before. I mean, and it's decent. Like I love the destructibility and the shooting. I like the high time to kill.
I think you're disappointed in the game playing community more than the game.
Yes,
because everybody in that game is so fucking sweaty, and
you're not wrong.
It's fun other than that.
I also think the heavy focus on objectives actually takes away a bit from the action. Mm-hmm. Like I know we were discussing this of just like. I think you mentioned that they're adding a.
They're talking about adding a deathmatch,
right? Because it's just into that mix and that could help, but it's like I don't know what happened to that sort of simplicity. Without it, it's just a bit chaotic and hard to keep track of. But the unlock system is fairly quick, and that's nice. I think the customization for the characters is terrible. Not that I super care about that shit anymore.
And their terrible AI voice.
And
announcer.
I found oh my god,
sounds like Madden 2001.
Yep. It's bad.
You used to be able to put stickum on your hands.
I found it difficult to make a person that just looked even somewhat cool.
Yeah.
But you can't argue with the price. It's free. Like, it's just, but yeah, the problem, it's like, if you haven't, I've been playing shooters my whole life, and this game doesn't have matchmaking? I don't know.
It does.
It does? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think.
Oh, skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It does have that, yeah.
Okay. I did decently enough, but it was just a thing of like, you'd think like the fervor on like online that this game I thought was, like I said, I think people are they're hungry for shooters to come back, and this is an all right one that we'll see if it sticks around. But
okay,
yeah, your shooter's nothing until you got people crying about controller versus mouse and keyboard. Okay,
yeah,
that hasn't happened
that
yet.
Old chestnut.
Okay, let's throw to Matt.
Yes.
Let's get his City Skylines 2.
So I added this on here because I distinctly remember, I think everybody had high expectations for City Skylines 2.
Yeah.
It's like the first one has basically all but become the only.
It replaced SimCity after they fucked up.
And it's like there's really no other. It's like it is the city building simulation game. So City Skylines 2 obviously had very high expectations. I was surprised by the reaction. It sounds like most of the issues were technical, like it was not optimized, and to me that classifies as a big.
They had to render all the teeth in the NPCs' mouths.
That's it. No, to me that classifies as a big disappointment, because if you had told me how will this game go when it comes out, I'll be like, the city simulation people are gonna gobble this shit up, and then it's like I heard a lot of complaints. It's like that to me is a big disappointment. It seems like
and then the developer put out like a statement, right, that they're just like, hey, we know, but we'll get there.
They also did an AMA on Reddit where they were trying to promote the DLC, and all the questions were just like, fuck the DLC, fix your fucking game.
Yeah. To me this stands. Like, this is a disappointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can say I agree.
I was just looking at this.
Let's throw to...
Oh,
I'm going to highlight 2 for you, Austin, that I think might be easy cuts.
Okay.
And again, this is the difference between expectations and reality negative. We're going to go Star Wars Jedi and Immortals of Avium. One, because
those are
probably
easy cuts.
wasn't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just about to say Star Wars.
I don't know if Jedi Survivor is an easy cut. And Sean's the only other one that played it.
Yeah.
So the problem is that the game is amazing.
I know the technical aspect.
I know where you're going with
runs
this.
like absolute garbage, and
probably not now.
And it's a great looking game.
Yep.
That looks like absolute shit because it runs sub 720p
Yep.
on the PS5.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It runs at lower resolution than the Switch on the PS5 because that was the only way they could get it to run at 30 frames. Let alone their 60
consistent frame rate.
Let alone their 60 frame mode, which runs at even lower resolution and can't maintain a 60.
It's also been months now. Did they ever go back to
I'm
it?
sure
I've heard it's better, but I heard it's
No?
still not good.
I know the PC.
They've patched
I know
it.
the PC version was rough too. People were saying.
PC version was worse.
I think I forget exactly the predicament I found myself in when this game came out, but yes, this hampered my experience in every way.
Yeah.
With that being said, the core gameplay, the improvements, and things like that, I was able to get through it, and I wasn't disappointed at the story and the improvements and things like that.
I will say this: it would have been in my top 10 if it ran well.
I agree,
and it's not because of that.
I'm the performance.
We can leave it for right now if it's not an easy cut, but like
the other one you said, Immortals of Avium.
Immortals.
How many copies of that game do you think sold? Like it's
no less than 1 million, easy. This game sucks because it's like they took former Call of Duty devs and they made a cool first-person shooter campaign, but they had to go fantasy with it. So it's got tons of proper nouns. Everybody sounds like an idiot, and the spells are not nearly like they're like the green spell fires real fast, and the blue spell fires real slow, but it does a lot of damage, and the red spell fires in a big wave. And I'm like, okay, so you made a machine gun, a shotgun, and a rifle.
Then with just
make
sections.
a fucking shooter. I don't care about Avium and the Immortals and.
And the of.
Can I?
So wait, what game had better or fancier hand animations? That or Ghostwire Tokyo?
Ghostwire Tokyo for sure.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Because I never did get around to playing this.
Yeah.
Is this my take on this from like having not touched it?
Yeah.
Is like it's like a movie. The way too much money on production and
it didn't look
graphic
cheap.
fidelity.
Like.
But just a half.
It's an Unreal 5 game. Looks really good. Runs really well. And it's all in service of some of the worst shit you've ever seen.
It's a shame. Like, they executed well on a...
And also, it's hard as fuck. Like,
really?
They do the thing I cannot stand in shooters, and it's a good idea on paper, and nobody's done it well, where they're like, these guys have... they got a green shield and they can regenerate their health. You gotta shoot them with the green spell. And these guys got a blue shield and that blocks damage, but you gotta shoot it with the blue spell. And these guys are angry, so they have a red shield and you gotta shoot it with the red. And I'm like,
sounds annoying as shit.
And the controls is like you gotta like hold L1 and then left on the D-pad and then hit square. And like, oh my god, it's just like
I was wondering how that would all work with all that.
It sucks.
With the control scheme and everything.
So ready?
I didn't expect it to be good. I just needed to talk. I don't think it's bad enough to be worst game, but
So I propose we make a new award and just make that game the only nominee. It's called the Polishing a Turd Award. Is that the best way to put it?
I felt like from the outside looking in, it looked like a movie script that they just repurposed into a game. And then just had half.
It really does.
Yes, because
look like that.
Yeah, because
it's like somebody wrote a CW. The CW was like, "Hey, we need our own Game of Thrones," and somebody wrote one, and then they're like, "Fuck, we don't want to make this." So then they turned it into.
It's got like YA
game.
novel.
Okay,
like,
good.
vibes.
You just confirmed my suspicion. Though.
So I still I haven't looked it up for any reference, but I'm like, I cannot remember this game coming out, but I do remember at one point you said it was EA, right?
Yeah.
Was this their Monster Hunter clone, or was that a different game?
That's Wild Hearts.
That's Wild Hearts.
Did that come out this year?
Yes, it did come out this year.
Oh my god, I did not hear anything about it.
I heard it was good. I don't care about Monster Hunter. No, this is a studio. EA hired a bunch of former Call of Duty devs to make a game, and then they
No,
this out.
This studio was VC funded, and then they found EA as a publisher.
Oh, right, it's an EA Originals game.
Yeah.
And
they only put
are,
that stamp on special
now
projects.
10% of the people that worked on this game work at that studio. I wonder why.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. Let's
F-Zero?
see. I can talk about Meet Your Maker real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meet Your Maker is the Dead by Daylight devs, and I thought that they had a cool idea, but I should have known that they can't make a fucking video game to save their life.
Don't worry, Supermassive's making their next thing.
I know.
The
the whole idea is like, what if we made Quake, but all of the levels were...
yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, it was like you build your own home base and you fill it with monsters and
traps. It
traps.
seemed pretty cool, yeah, and then you make your friends play it and stuff.
And then,
you
can just like randomly invade other people's bases and you have to get to the core and steal it, and then that's how you upgrade your own bases, by stealing cores.
Okay.
And I played it for the first day and I was like, this is all right. And then I played it a week later and everybody had figured out how to make all of their fucking bases impossible. Like they exploited something that just made everything impossible.
Don't make games for gamers.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem.
Listen, if you look at their high-level DBD like community, it's all like bitching about perk usage and what's cheap and what's not, and it's all like it's chest-pounding bullshit, so...
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
I got this in our fantasy league, and I got like 70 points for it, so they can fuck off. I'm gonna cut that.
Yeah,
it was very disappointing because it was a cool idea.
Yes.
And it's like when Bloober comes up with a cool idea, and you're like, oh, come on, man, why can't somebody else think of this?
yeah. The whole medium thing with the split was awesome. It's just somebody else should have done it.
All right, how about Assassin's Creed Mirage? I'm guessing we.
Don't put the key in the wind-up.
All right, wait. Should I do some of my shorter ones first?
Yes, do a shorter one.
Okay.
So, Alien Hominid Invasion just kind of makes me sad because it's
not a bad game, but it's not a good game.
And I love Alien Hominid and I love the Behemoth, and it's been a while since their last release.
Yeah.
Pit People was 2016.
I don't know.
Damn.
I think this kind of hangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks rad. It's cute. It's funny. And it plays fine.
You want to know the moment I realized that they fucked this game up? So I very often will go onto the roguelike page on Steam, and just to see if I can like pick up.
Oh yeah, we should have said it's a roguelike spin.
Yeah. Pick up a random one for like $3 or $4, and bro, I scroll that page for an entire 30-minute YouTube video just looking at games.
That was the sleepiest release.
I'm
afraid for them.
I go to popular, and I scroll, and I scroll, and I scroll. I have never seen Alien Hominid on that list once.
It's funny because in the past they've had a pretty good relationship with Xbox, and like this could have been at one of their one of their smaller things, or the Game Pass. I don't know. Deal could have happened, but it's like.
It had a very sleepy launch, and it sounds like it'll have a very sleepy legacy.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It doesn't even have a big enough like.
I don't know. I think
it's got 4-player local,
but it's not.
But that unfortunately doesn't benefit from.
No, I don't think it's the worst game though. It's just you want to talk about. I don't think it's the worst game on this list that has 4-player multiplayer that makes the game worse.
Oh, well, that's very true. With this, it's like there's a problem with how it telegraphs information, and the lengthiness of the levels and sameness of them. Like it goes too long, and then it's like, and then it gets like I hate. This is a really harsh word, but I hate it. It's like it's boring, and like it shouldn't be. And it's funny because I thoroughly dug the demo, like because in just maybe this is better in shorter sessions or like shorter runs rather. 2 people tops.
Episodic, maybe?
But it was like, I got to play in that limited setting. I was like, I'm really looking forward to this. And then I know we played it and it's like, even by our time with like Alfred, we were like, I think we saw what this has to offer.
Yeah, no.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. I think it is I think it's a competent game. I think it throws you straight in, I think is a big problem. I think
it does. I think all of the content is up front.
It's so up front, and so it's like
it kind of also emphasizes chaos in a way that I think detracts from the game.
Yeah, and I like controlled chaos is what you need because this is like
that's what Alien Hominid was. That's what Battle Block is. That's what Castle Crashers is.
Totally.
And this is not controlled chaos.
This is like that Simpsons joke where it's like, Bart is playing a game and it's just shouting things and flashing things.
Yes,
You're like,
no, that is, and I've complained about this on Discord many times. the ADD brain, it does not handle an overload of information that quickly. I get overwhelmed.
That game gave me a headache.
Yeah. I think literally just scale back. It's like, especially that game is supposed to be
it's supposed to be cute and it like with the little this, but it's just the particle effects and all the writing on the screen.
It's
and
way too much. It is
like,
it is
and the amount of enemies they throw at you.
Yes, that's it. It's like, listen, if you're gonna do that, it's just like scale back in the earlier stages because it's a stage-based game. Make the earlier stages wind you into it where it's like you're feeling in the beginning you're just like, this is very controllable, like, I'm doing very well, and then by the end then make it chaos. But it's like the first level 2 minutes in you can barely see what's going on
and let it
screen.
soak in to appreciate the animation.
Yes. No, it was too much chaos and it just it's not it's stressful. It's a stressful.
We gotta whittle this list down, but
all right, I've got a cut to offer.
Well, Alien Hominid, I think it stays for now.
Okay. All right.
But go ahead, Andrew.
Then I will cut F-Zero 99, I think.
Okay.
So I get that it's supposed to test the waters on the franchise in 2024, so obviously I had to do my part. Give them kudos to building something that does authentically look and sound like an expansion of the original SNES game.
Yeah.
I love this developer and all their 99 line, but this just didn't do it for me. I thought it was the weakest one, and I don't think this IP fits the Battle Royale format, in my opinion. And despite the X and GX amount of racing alongside 30 people, which is dope, that worked. To account for 100, this had to change too much. The collecting of coins to spawn a flying gold track above your track to win.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a purist, but like, that ain't F-Zero. Screw off. In not to show my immersion, but in the context of the world that I enjoy, it makes no sense.
They needed a catch-up mechanic.
Exactly. Yeah. That is precisely what it's at.
I'm going to,
that shit does matter to me. And
try making a mustard mechanic.
I'm going to counter this. Okay, I'm going to say one. I played actually quite a lot of it.
I played a lot of it too because it's a new F-Zero game.
I actually I mostly enjoyed it. I actually say I genuinely I played it for a few hours one night. I was hooked to it.
Was it the same 2 stages over and over again?
No, it was all different stages.
They didn't rotate enough it out for me.
But 2, I think is interesting. I'm like, I think you just have an axe to grind to this game because you love F-Zero and it's not.
I do.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. It's like when I saw F-Zero 99, I was not thinking this is a new F-Zero experience.
No, I never looked at it like that.
No, I'm like, this is a 99 experience. That's the thing. I'm like, I did not.
But even then, it's a little shallow. There's no other modes. There's no local split screen. And speaking of chaos, it's blasted in your face. There's not a lot of strategy other than memory, of tracks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm glad it was free. I got a couple nights of entertainment out of it. And
I was going to say,
but it's just
well,
free with NSF.
I was going to say I enjoyed it, and it met my expectations.
Yeah,
perfectly
we're
fine.
cutting it.
Fine.
Can we can kind of stay in the same vein and just roll right into Mario Wonder?
I know that's going to be mostly me.
Yeah, I mean, has a 2D Mario game really hit right? Or not hit right enough.
Your issue with it
Allow
is
me
the
to,
expectation of reviews versus reality.
That
right?
Yes, and also it's
because we weren't expecting.
I know we've discussed this before, but I still find the critical reception around this game just befuddling. And it's so genuinely the classic 2D Mario titles are some of my favorites of all time. I return to them very frequently. I also hated the new series they did and was excited at the prospect of them abandoning that and going back to the side scroller and doing something different with it. And it's really just that it's just that again with better animations and a slightly better art style. It's the same movement, it's the same wonky physics, same awful audio design. Holy shit. The jumping sound, especially with 4 people, made me want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And the talking flowers, stupid. The only twist is the Wonder Seed gimmick. And sure, a handful of them are all right, while others are, whatever.
Yeah.
But without them, all the levels would just be short and,
I was
boring.
Explain to me the difference between this and the Kirby game that came out this year.
Kirby game was last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah.
Explain to me the difference between those two, because I just see this monstrosity turning into a different monstrosity and then getting memed on.
Yeah. I don't know what
The only thing I'll pile on, and also a reason I will say as to why this doesn't deserve disappointing, is because the multiplayer is just like I played it both. I know you didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Did you play it single player at all, or did you just give up after we played multiplayer?
No,
it's better single player, but it also exposes how bad the level design truly is.
Yeah,
it's I think it's a bad game in multiplayer and an okay game in single player. Like I don't think it's like a 90 plus. Like
the overmap is pointless.
It was just like it felt like in a a cutesy game meant for kids, I guess. Like I'm playing. I'm here playing multiplayer Mario with you, Randy, you, Matt, and Alfred, all of whom grew up on Mario. I didn't. I was a Sega kid. I'm not good at Mario. And this game, like, the camera follows whoever got first place in the last match.
Yeah,
and I was just constantly trying to stay on screen. I couldn't even focus on the platforming.
That game has an issue with scaling. Like, the dumb elephant power makes the character models too large. Mm-hmm. Like, at least they finally did it where you can pass through each other. Yeah. It doesn't have the collision.
That's the best part.
It took them a while.
You just dismantle an entire gaming session by just picking up whoever you're with and chucking them in a hole.
Yeah, but it's like I never tried the online, but like Austin said, the local like actively makes things worse. And also speaking of like what you were mentioning, like with kids playing it, like Nintendo, like locks who you can use and who you can't, since it's based off of accessibility.
Yeah,
that is insane. Like
I know, I told you I bought it for my niece for Christmas,
which I don't know if we should explain that further. But
she's a big fan of Princess's Surprise, and she wants to play as Peach, but I have to tell her, no, you got to play as a Yoshi because the Yoshis are the ones that can't die. And she's like, no, fuck that, I'm playing as Peach. And then the game's hard.
Yeah. And if you want to play some characters can't even use abilities. It's really weird.
I hear this Switch 2 thing's going to be a big hit though.
I just those last two Rayman games continue. Like Rain Man.
I want to
do it better than like the folks who practically invented it. And
24.
There's a Rain Man game exists. It's called Case of the Golden Idol.
I'm saying cut this because I have not been a fan of 2D Mario games.
Me neither. I just wanted to say my piece. I mean, we were, but we haven't been fans of them in over 20 years.
It's like I expected something that felt milled out, and it was a game that felt milled out. I've not liked 2D Marios, but I will do a shout out. I loved the Wonder gimmick. Though I wish the entire game was just those sections.
Inventive thing about
it.
But they're
too short. It felt like you were playing a mod of a Mario game. It's like it made it so much more
NES remix.
But it's like no, we're just gonna make this a tiny part of it and then just make the rest of it milled content.
And also,
again.
I know where we all quit. That we all quit the one level we couldn't find the Wonder Seed.
Oh, because then you get to see what it's like without it.
Yeah, and it's just boring.
It's just boring.
Yeah.
No, those games and those games have been boring for a long time.
It's been cut. Okay. Let's throw to Andrew.
I've got a cut. Yep. I was trying to see what the temperature of the room was on some of these other games that are still left, and I think I've got a good feel for it now, and I can say that we can cut Viewfinder.
That's what I was just about to ask you about. So I started playing it like a couple days ago, and it is okay. It is it's just squandered potential.
It's still like so it makes for like perfect GIF fodder or like
It's a remarkably clever gameplay mechanic, but also over the course of the entire runtime, which let me just say, I think that the rate at which they introduce new mechanics and pace the game, I think it's immaculate. Like they do it, like they never linger on any one thing too long. At the same time, there are two crucial problems with it. We'll call it three crucial problems. The first one, which is the least offensive, is that the story sucks. It's kind of up its own ass. Whatever. It doesn't matter if the story was good or not. I
know it has a lot to live up to comparing it to like with Portal and whatnot, but
sure. And it doesn't really have the sense of humor that Portal does, and the story that it is telling seriously is not great.
Yeah, there's a lot of melodrama.
Yeah, but yeah, the two bigger problems though are that one, the main mechanic of taking a picture of a thing and then you recreate the world around you and reposition it and whatever, and you do that to cheat the level and solve puzzles. It's a little finicky, which is like You would expect because, it is free
I never got my hands on it, so yeah.
So something that people don't appreciate enough from Portal until you play another game inspired by it is that in Portal, all the walls have those white panels that are roughly the size of a portal.
Yeah. Yes.
Which means that they take this very imprecise thing of where am I aiming at in 3D space, and then they let you map it onto something very finite and countable, right? Yeah. Which makes it very easy to get the puzzle solutions you need. And in this game, it's like a lot of your playtime is going to be adjusting things like just right, so
putting
that way
a picture down, rewinding, putting it down a little bit to the left, rewinding.
That's the part you don't see in the video clips.
Right. So there's that. And then the other problem with it is that with few exceptions, maybe 2 or 3 times in the game, other than those 2 or 3 times, every time I walked into a room, I immediately knew the answer. Because it was just that obvious. Like, they couldn't make enough of a challenging puzzle where I could get that feeling of, like, feeling smart for solving it. Because it was just like, oh, no, I just immediately know what the answer is to this puzzle. And then at the very end of the game, they add a timer onto this mechanic, right? So you have to do a couple of puzzles consecutively with a timer, and combined with that finickiness of, lining things up properly, it makes for a bad time. And there are 2 ways to get through it. You can either turn on an accessibility option, which I did, or you can memorize the answers to all the puzzles that you did before and exactly where you need to line things up.
And then speedrun it?
And then speedrun it. Yeah. So... It was a terrible ending to a game that was kind of just okay, and I really wish it was more challenging and that their finickiness wasn't a problem, but it sounds like people maybe feel passionately about other games being more disappointing, and one of them that I would say I was more disappointed by is the one right above it, but we can circle back around to that later.
I think we'll have to save that one almost for last.
Oh, yeah. I do want to see the unedited trailer footage of the guy being mic'd up doing the trailer. It won't go. It won't go.
Also, this idea was technically stolen from a scrapped sequel to Portal.
Oh,
really?
Interesting.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, there was a game before Portal 2 existed. There was a game called Aperture, which was this exact idea. You take a picture and then you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thieves.
Okay.
I'm gonna propose that we cut Payday 3.
Yeah.
I mean, props to them for trying to continue the legacy after the success of Payday 2, but like,
oh god, you know what?
This was just that again with less content and more bugs. Like, I mean, it and what a crash and burn apparently, because they never needed to make this game, and I'm like, that's such that's so unfortunate for them. So I mean, and this ran like shit for me, but I don't. Not that the sacrifice performance is even worth what you're seeing, but. Thank God for Game Pass, because we grew tired of it quick.
So
I like Payday. But.
Yeah, here's the thing. I remember picking that up for the Critics League, and then dropping it because I'm like, I got bad feelings about this. What was the review score in the
70 something?
No,
I don't think it
cracked 70. I think it was like 66-ish.
Oh yeah,
good
drop.
No, it was a good
literally
drop.
70 is like a high marker.
63.
I'm also
63.
Yeah. Ooh, I was wrong.
I knew it was definitely not good.
I'm also gonna propose we cut Oxenfree 2. I think it was fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it again
relative to After Party in the first one.
Yeah,
it's not good, but relative to the rest of that genre is also not bad.
Yeah, and the way it tries to tie itself into the first game, it's like it's fine.
Yeah.
We already talked about like the moments that stood out. But
Sounds like more. Sounds more like more of a thing.
Does anybody want to?
Didn't fill the shoes.
Anybody want to crank this thing in my back so I can go wind up into Assassin's Creed Mirage?
No. Hold on. Before we get to it, can we just why is Alan Wake on here?
Yeah, no.
Come
on.
I get why, but at the same time,
I was saving this argument for later.
Were you?
You know what? Let Randy say his piece because I have also been wondering.
It's a top 5 game.
It's all. This game. Okay. The pendulum of this game swings so hard back and forth.
It hits you hard in the nuts.
Yeah. So there are hints of genius, as I've pointed out, and where we've nominated it elsewhere, and where it's won things for us elsewhere. But this is the most I have ever personally been frustrated by the reception of a game. I wish I could see what the critics do on this thing, because since they suddenly care about. I hate saying style over substance, because I've pointed out before, it's like. When people apply that to film, it's like, that's just filmmaking. Mm-hmm. But with this, it is
But that's the
all
thing.
in its wrapping and presentation.
This is just filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean,
Screenplay by
yes,
Randy.
it says screenplay by in the opening credits. It does not say written by, but I was excited for this sequel. It was unexpected. I still think Sam Lake is a treasure.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you beat it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have not beaten it.
These two haven't.
I have not beaten
And
it
Andrew
yet.
hasn't played it.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
I made it about 10 hours.
No, it's a heavy
you
one.
clearly got to Wii Sing.
I don't.
of course.
Yeah, it's pretty early. I don't think it hangs.
Well, I'm going to
here.
say my...
Let him say his piece.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you weren't done.
Oh,
sorry,
no.
sorry for cutting you off.
It's genuinely scary, and it has that going for it when it wants to be. The audio is incredible. That said, I just found it utterly painful and boring to play. In the total opposite of RE4 Remake's pacing, this might be the worst paced experience. I don't know if this is controversial. I loathe the stupid Mind Palace system. I don't care how technically impressive it is. It makes the game come to, it's so repetitive. It makes the game come to, an ass-grinding halt every time. Because it'll interrupt conversations.
Yeah.
In between characters.
Yeah.
And it's okay, does that mean your character is just standing there, while you're interviewing someone? And then it's hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta blip out of existence
it's definitely
to tack
a
something on a board.
second. It's almost like being caught in the, what the hell is it called again? The underbed or something like that. What they didn't want to use.
Oh God,
the-
I forget.
The dark and murky. I forget.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it also,
so what's
yeah.
real quick to touch on that? At first, I played 2 or 3 hours of the game, and I was like, "Hey, I'm excited to see where this is going." And we were talking about it, and you're like, "Man, that mind play shit is fucking annoying." And I was like, "Oh no, it's kind of cool." I'm a detective, and I'm in this lady's head.
I gotta ask you this, Sean, because me, Matt and Stevie and Austin all ran into this exact same thing. So the Mind Palace, Mind Place, breaks the design of certain puzzles completely, and you're so. At one point, God, we should point out there was an item that did not spawn in game, despite you standing at the current location. Do you remember?
Yes.
So it happened to you as well. That's
heart in the freezer.
to me. Yes, that was exactly
I was
it.
like, what do I need to do?
And then your moronic cop protagonist, whose bad inner monologues won't shut up, seems to love exclaiming about how
It's gotta be in the
they
freezer.
solved the solution to an obstacle about a half hour after you did.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't re-click the right thing in their fucking Destiny cursor menu.
So I will,
read a page.
I will say, yes. At first, I was like, that's weird. And it did irritate me.
Yeah.
I let it go for a little bit. And then by the time you're getting to the point with late in Alan's part where I don't know about your experience with this, Austin, but you're just kind of throwing shit at a wall. Because, nothing was, clear cut of what environment needed to be what. It was just kind of put it in, look around.
It's a lot of brute forcing shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of clicking through menus.
So it's definitely
and it's
immersion.
just that doesn't go here. Oh, that doesn't go. Oh, there it is.
Right.
I didn't just click the right.
Yeah.
You're not
Exactly.
solving shit.
X left, X right,
Yeah,
X up,
yeah.
X down, finding, figured it out.
And sometimes it's this happened to Liz that I was playing with. She actually did choose the right picture, but it wasn't angled properly.
Yeah, and then the string broke and the picture flew off into the distance.
Yeah.
That happened to me too.
And it's
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
happened.
funny, though.
It pins outside of the game world, and then you just have a
Was
red
that the
yarn
game breaking
flying.
bug you ran into?
No.
No, it's not game breaking. You just have to leave the mind place and come back in. And
the
it's
bug
fixed.
that we experienced was actually far, far worse. It was the NPCs that populate the town broke, and we couldn't talk to anybody.
Okay.
And that forced us to miss essentially every side quest there.
What?
And I thought we were going
wow.
nuts until on the besties that Chris Plant mentioned running into the same thing, the same bug. So that's
And it also had not. I believe reading. I believe I read something about having game breaking bugs that would just soft lock you.
that
essentially.
that happened to lost saves happened to
Lost
some people
saves as well, which I was very worried about.
I'm glad
it's
that
not
didn't happen
short.
for us. And also, so the combat is significantly worse than of the Resident Evil reboots, even though it's obviously inspired
right.
from them.
Now
the UI is literally plucked right
You gotta
from
let me
it.
cut in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about earlier. The last mission in Saga's part. The endless fight.
Oh yeah.
Where you gotta trap the guy in the thing.
Yeah.
That would be, if we did this category, that would be up for worst moment or sequence. I hated that.
Yeah.
It was an exercise in frustration.
It was just it was definitely way too much.
I kept fucking dying.
Yeah.
That was when I really felt the slow reload times and the fact that you need to take out the healing item and then use it instead of just using it in a menu like Resident Evil lets you.
Oh yeah,
like
that was.
It was
in the beginning for the sake of like.
Did you guys keep it on normal?
Yes.
We eventually bumped it down to easy because the scarceness of the resources got irritating and. It
adds to the survival horror aspect.
And I love
always somewhere you can go.
Trust me, I love that. But it's for me. It was the I
can see the vein popping in your face.
I know it's because the layout of the map in the fucking forest is ass shit. You'll seriously be wandering forever, hoping anything will I
definitely understand. I definitely understand what you're saying because there's
wait,
tucked and hidden.
I would like to respond to this.
Sure.
Randy, the biggest disappointment in the situation is you. No, because I avoided playing this game because I remember you had played it. You had played it, and you were like, "This is."
I didn't tell you not to play it.
No. Listen, sorry. I know I'm hurling a big accusation at you, but I just want to let you know that it's just like I did pass on it. Well, you know what? No, I passed on it because I was in the middle of a million things, but I was not expecting to.
There's parts about it that I love. Like
I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as it, and then I played it, and I'm like, this is a very good game, and I'm looking at it, and it's like going through it, I'm like, I think you're making some mountains out of molehills.
I think it is a middling game with the most beautiful wrapping paper. So
it's like, listen,
but it's not going to be the most disappointing.
Yeah, not with two dissenters.
I know, it's fine. I'm disappointed.
I know you needed to get that out.
This is the only Remedy game that I haven't seen through to the end.
All right.
And I think I'd
that says something about you.
I'd rather just watch someone else play it, which if you know me is a crazy thing for me to say.
So I replayed chapters after watching someone do it, and me playing it, I was like, this feels so good. And I was like, I made the immediate Resident Evil comparison, and I'm like, listen, the combat is not going to be exactly the same, but it's still, I thought it felt fine.
All this aside, I will say it is in my top 10. I can be disappointed and still think that there's great things about it. I think Saga sucks. And anyone praising its narrative clearly hasn't seen that John Carpenter movie, which is better, more cohesive. And I get they wanted to inject some Lynch in there. I don't know.
It's not the most disappointing.
Perhaps I'm wrong, because this should have directly been up my alley.
I get why you're disappointed. I was also disappointed for similar reasons. I still think that if you're talking about most egregious critic consensus versus my opinion, I think Super Mario Brothers Wonder is worse.
Oh, I agree with that. This game is art, warts and all. I'm just shocked that games industry people didn't seem to mind the constant stop signs when you account their criticism of other AAA action adventure games.
I will say
it's no consistency.
Wart art.
I will say I felt very similarly to this game that I do to Control.
Stop right there.
I enjoyed Control far more.
You get to fly around.
I was gonna say Control. That's the maybe I'm disappointed with the action of, and I know they're beholden to the world that they've made, but Control has all kinds of crazy weapons and powers and abilities, and to go from that expertise
to
in
fucking
combat
flashlight.
counter design to this
to
feels
a fucking lamp.
You know what? The other thing
right,
too. I mean, I went into playing that game with
maybe different expectations.
Low expectations. I thought Alan Wake 1 was okay. It sounded like you had a bad time with it. And when I started realizing, I'm like, this is a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it, I was like,
oh, I'm telling you to continue having fun. Yeah. I'll watch you guys finish it. I just don't want to play it
it's just
anymore.
one of those things where it's like, I was kind of stunned by your reaction. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm just saying I think
this gets cut.
I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
Are we cutting this?
Let's move on.
We're cutting.
Absolutely.
We have to move on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
That's okay.
That's the most I have to say about any game all year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll cut my Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Probably sounds weird for me because I was fighting for it. Alan Wake winning a bunch of stuff last week or whatever. But
okay, Assassin's Creed Mirage. Ubisoft said, "Hey, we're gonna make an old Assassin's Creed game. It's gonna be shorter. The world's not gonna be huge. and it's going to be like more stealth focused like the old ones. And also, it's going to be a budget game. It's only going to be $50. And I went, bet? All right, let's do this.
Same.
And then I played it, and I went, oh, I should have read more into that whole thing where you said that this was a DLC for Valhalla that you appropriated into a $50 game, because this shit, it sucks. The combat sucks. The stealth doesn't work, just like in Valhalla, the Viking game where there's no fucking stealth because you're a Viking. And then and then on top of that, they shit all over the legacy that is Assassin's Creed 1. Like, this is like a prequel to 1, and it turns out that like their stupid character that nobody likes from Valhalla is actually like he's like the progenitor of everything that's happened in this entire franchise, and his like girlfriend is imaginary, and the assassination missions were bad.
I mean, technically, what's his name? Dustin?
Destin?
No, the guy, the main character.
I forget. Who cares?
Technically, his lineage is imaginary. He has to make it, right?
Yeah, I know. It's just...
Also, technically, they've been shitting on the legacy of Assassin's Creed 1 for a long time now.
It's like... I mean literally like the story of it.
Yeah,
right, I see what you're saying. It personally pains me that they were like, remember how much you guys liked Assassin's Creed 2? Just keep loving that game, because this ain't it.
Is it gonna be like 2? Is it gonna be like Brotherhood? Is it gonna be like Black Flag? Nope. It's like 1 but worse. You remember the one that nobody likes? The one that nobody puts at the top of their list? We made a worse version of that.
It's true to form with being a prequel that it's worse.
It's a shame because they wanted to do a throwbacky thing after how out of hand the...
They wanted to sell you a throwbacky thing that they never intended to make. That's my problem with it. If F-Zero 99 didn't get a lot of downloads and they came out and went, well, I guess people don't like
F-Zero anymore?
We're just going to keep making Mario Kart. How pissed would you be?
I'm furious.
Because they're going to fucking do that with Mirage, and I'm going to be pissed.
With Mirage,
because they're going to be because apparently Assassin's Creed Red, the Japanese one, is the biggest budget game ever made by anybody.
Holy shit.
It's going to be larger than Valhalla, which is insane.
And
they're definitely going for
they're Hail Marying the next one. And then I was like excited for like Hex and the other ones that are supposed to be smaller experiences. And I feel like Ubisoft is going to see the reception to Mirage and just be like, well, I guess people don't want that.
You know what?
And the consensus from everybody I've read online is like, no, we do want that. You didn't make that.
Yeah. You know what? Give me that Tomb Raider remaster right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're the funniest thing is we were talking about this briefly. I did not have a lot of time in.
Yeah.
And you said it reminded me of Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me want to play Valhalla.
Yeah.
And then...
Because Valhalla is made to be Valhalla.
Right.
And this is Valhalla being modded into being Assassin's Creed 1, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. Enemies just see you through bushes.
That was the thing I found the most surprising was like all of the glitches that were going around.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was like not technically sound at all.
Do you remember?
Did it look or run like? Do
you remember looking inside a face?
That's the best thing I can say about it.
What's that?
Do you remember Unity where you could see inside the face?
Yeah, because it's like I saw straight up like broken like AI and mission pathing and stuff like that, and markers like just not.
I mean, Assassin's Creed's always coming in hot. Unity's one of my favorite games of all time, and that game was a mess.
Yeah.
But like it's just more this thing is like we can cut it because it disappointed me in myself because I fell for Ubisoft's bullshit.
You know what? I think that's the big problem because I'm thinking about Assassin's Creed Mirage and I'm just like telling me it was mediocre. That's my expectation.
And that was my expectation too.
I do remember when they announced this though, the pitch was like
Assassin's Creed.
Like, oh shit,
the shriveled,
the
shriveled part of my heart that still has hope for the world was like, what if they do make a good game? Yeah. And then I allowed that to enter into my brain, and then I played it.
We made it.
Yeah, and then I played it, and I was like, you French fucks. I hope Yves Guillemot slips and falls in the bathtub. Anyway.
And there's also a toaster that he knocks in.
No, I don't want him to die. I just want him to break his ankle.
There's always an interesting category
to
do
differently about this topic.
There's always an interesting category to do with you folks because I think you guys very much get get hyped for games more than I do. You guys definitely follow.
I don't
these
get hyped
things.
for anything. What are you talking about?
No, no. I've never heard you.
Life is morose.
No,
Randy hates it.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I don't get excited for game related things very often. You
Do
know
you
that.
remember that?
No,
girly-
But I am an excitable person.
Yeah. What about that girly lesbian game you love so much?
That's true. Yeah,
You're
right.
so super excited for that girly
I
lesbian
am.
game.
He does
You
like
know,
those.
But no, I think in general, I think you guys anticipate more. Is that a better way?
That's
Yes,
no, that's
yeah.
perfect. I
Yeah.
anticipate games. I like anticipating games more than I do playing them.
Were you-
I was
And
gonna say,
now-
I think you. No, that's it. I think you like anticipating games more.
I do.
Because then you play them and you're like, this is kind of bad.
Yeah.
Does not make the cut.
Moving on.
All right.
It is cut.
We have whittled down the list pointlessly, spent a lot of time to get to the two that actually deserve to win this category. Let us talk about Atomic Heart and/or Starfield.
All right. Well, Atomic Heart
Yeah.
first, then.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do Atomic Heart first, and then me
I'm
and Andrew.
surprised Atomic Heart is this high up on the list.
Yeah,
I
so,
haven't
I
heard
mean-
you guys talk about it.
So maybe Matt is right because I was hell excited for this game, and then they had to fuck it up by turning it into open world after the first several hours. It's the same fate as the third
Open
Metro.
world stealth,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and somehow worse than
And-
Assassin's Creed Mirage at that.
And
Yeah.
I know I've been talking about pacing a lot today, but the pace goes from like cinematic and breezy to an absolute crawl.
Yeah.
And there's more systems than what an FPS needs.
And
and,
when you leave
like-
and enter the
Yes, that's exactly where I got
into the open.
after the tunnels.
After the tunnels, I'm playing through the tunnels and I'm talking to Randy. I'm like, man, I don't know what people's
Right?
problem is with
I
this
had the
game.
exact same thing. I was
And
like,
then I
"Oh,
get
shit,
out of
this
those
ain't
tunnels and I'm like, oh, this is the problem that they have with
That's-
this game.
But
It's
the whole game is a lot of coming up for air and then going back down.
Yeah.
I understand
So
that,
the-
but the coming up for air sucked
I-
so much.
I mean, I feel differently about this because did anybody beat it?
No,
No.
I couldn't.
Okay,
I got like 4 hours.
I'm kind of like the dented head person of this group where it's like
I wouldn't go that far.
Far Cry.
we
yeah,
got we got a couple dented heads in here.
but like I honestly like I don't know. I guess it's because I wasn't expecting a whole lot,
Mhm.
and yeah, there was like monotony in the animation.
Can I ask you, did the story ever deliver?
dented head?
Uh,
I just literally sexy chrome babies. It's like I don't know, man. Like it just
because I like the setup, but your main character is like the least interesting.
it's really
the
like
voice acting is
there's
awful.
that scene where you like black out and everybody in the room's dead and you're like what happened? It's like you obviously fucking killed everybody if you don't remember passing out and then waking up and everybody's dead. You don't realize you're being controlled. You're such a fucking moron. But the character
crispy critters.
yeah.
crispy critters.
But then
Dumb
he
fucking
is
curse.
sold
Yeah.
like a moron dog. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You are like a dog to this guy, and then you just eat any bullshit, and it's like very much up to the very end where you're like this moron idiot that's just following orders, and you're like, wait a second, and then you get to the final thing, you're like, no way that happened, and then you get to decide, and it's like I don't know, the ending's kind of weird too. It's like you just like you get one of two choices, and it's like you like allow it to continue, and there's just like alpha being made out of this fucking thing that they've been forging and whatever. I don't know.
So
I mean, like the art direction is fucking phenomenal, and the
it's-
shooting is good. The power's totally
eye
original.
candy.
I would have stuck with it if navigating the open environment wasn't such a pain.
So I
Like,
mean,
Oh yeah.
it's
So
no
listen,
comment.
really quick. Sorry,
yeah.
you're talking to the guy who just would get in a car, drive right through turrets,
Yeah.
just hop out of my car before my car got blown up,
Yeah.
and then had like 90 robots chasing me down,
Yeah.
and I'd have to fight this onslaught fight.
And the robots are beefy
Yeah.
to take down. Like, yeah, like
I don't know. I literally put my head down and just like pushed through the game.
just all the
And
chorus
there was enough.
Yeah.
I'll say this: there was very irritating parts, and it could have been better, and they could have done things differently, and there was a lot of weird decisions. And
I mean, if you don't regret your time with it, then we can cut it. I mean,
No,
it's
I think this hangs.
really my last takeaway is that my PC should not have been able to run it the way it did because it is super well optimized. I know I've said that about another game today.
My pitch
I'm
for
always talking
disappointment
about that.
is why were we disappointed? Because I think we all watched that trailer.
It's still
and it's
like-
still and it looks
a fantastic trailer.
It
I
looks
see it now.
amazing.
I'm like, I want to play that game.
yeah.
That's-
No, that's
that-
it. You're like you look at you're like I want to play
The
that
set
game.
piece.
that's why I'm dented head. It's like I don't think about what could be. I just accept what I've been given, and then I go, Far Cry. Because it's like that's all I don't know. That's
no, there's a different Far Cry clone that I'm going to yell about later. But
it was, I mean, like, I would say this stays a contender because I think we all watched that. I remember specifically telling Randy.
For me, it's up there. I just didn't know.
Yeah, the first couple hours definitely lended itself to being a different experience. And then, like, your main character, you're just this, like dented head guy that just doesn't get it.
The last thing I'll say, and then we got to move on to Starfield, is...
Which we all played.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
I am also kind of a dented head, but I don't very often stop games.
Yeah.
Once I have committed.
So that is surprising.
Shit, that is
and
actually,
I fucking stopped. I could
did.
not take this fucking game anymore. Matt stopped. Matt is even
so
worse at that than me.
Yeah,
like,
I will
stop
not
at
let go of
He will put up with a lot to go through a game.
And hey,
I do not like to stop games.
Yeah.
I didn't even make it out of the tunnels.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
So
I thought it was still Half-Life enough at that point.
No, because I think you said it perfectly. I was like, open world is not the only thing wrong with that game. The pacing is a snail's pace.
But everything is more cumbersome and longer than it needs to be.
Yes.
Because you're like, I'm having fun. This looks awesome. And then, like, you know.
The open world is not the only bad part about it because I didn't make it there. I didn't make it out of the tunnels. It is, the pacing is so slow. I think you said it perfectly. It has too many systems that it doesn't need, and it introduces them like 10 minutes a piece, and then it's like you introduce a system, and then they
just
have
condense things.
Just condense it. It's
it's
like they do it one at a time. They're like, well, now we need a section for this, but it's like this section's not that interesting. It's like you don't need an intro section for every mechanic. Do a bunch at once.
I get what you're saying. Like just a shining example of this is like when it's teaching you the mechanics of being able to climb on pipes.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay. And then it makes you do. It's like I got it.
You don't need an entire room for it.
Yes, yeah.
No,
so,
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But
so,
that's I say it hangs.
I think
yes, I agree.
We're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have to talk about Starfield.
So do you remember when you were talking about Atomic Heart having a bunch of good ideas and baffling choices, and how no decision that they made makes any sense, and how the game could have been way better, and how like the trailers were promising,
and how I was tired of hearing about it at every presentation
for the last
5 years.
Yeah.
So that's Starfield. So
missed the mark on everything, and how they argued with people on Steam comments saying the game is actually good.
Like we could talk for hours about everything that Starfield does wrong, but it's just like you know, we've talked about Starfield and everything it does wrong, and I don't know if it's mostly limitations of the engines, bad decisions.
I was about to say, we can all agree that them sticking to Creation, what's it called?
Creation Engine 2.
Creation Engine 2 really held them back. And it's
but there's so much shit,
and this format
everywhere.
is becoming tired.
And you can pick up, or you
No,
can have shoved in your inventory.
You don't even need to do that shit. Yeah,
you can sell folders.
It's a shame for me because this is the setting of theirs that interests me.
I find the formula being tired argument to be wrong, because here's the thing: Bethesda fans will play New Vegas and Skyrim until their heads fall off. Them making the same game again isn't a problem for most of the people who play these games. The problem is that they made, I will say, the worst game that they've made. And like for other than Fallout 76.
Yeah.
But like for the And there are so much in this game to like. There are so many ideas that you're just like, if this was in something else, man, you had something here. And you can watch that Naked Jake, the 40-minute Naked Jake video. He goes over it in excruciating detail, and he's hilarious, and I love that man.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get into all of the stuff that it does wrong, but it's just like the loading screens and like just taking away any interesting stuff to walk by. Yeah. Matt mentioned it. When I was talking about moment or sequence, where he was just like, is those missions that you're talking about, is there just a bunch of walking in between? Yes. Of course there is, because that's all that game is.
That's all that game is.
The gunfights are like not good, and they also don't happen frequently enough. The dogfights are okay, but they also don't happen frequently enough.
The one thing I said to you, Austin, it was like the day that I started playing it, and I was like, and I got the first quest of many, or like, go talk to this person, and I was like, what, do you not have a phone? We're living in the future. Yeah. Like, why? Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Like,
satellites are tricky cross-faction.
They could have come up with anything. Like,
no, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the actual in-universe lore explanation for that is that you can travel faster than light, but you can't send communications faster than light. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I believe they've covered it enough
something.
times where it's like whenever you have to go somewhere faster than the speed of light, like you have to send somebody to do it.
Listen.
You can't just like you just transmit.
I think
this
we
is
would probably
that's
sooner
bullshit.
invent light speed for
That-
data than
yeah.
each other.
That
I
is
agree.
literally just Bethesda being like Bethesda logic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Considering that data is sent through light waves, I'm pretty sure it moves at the speed of light.
Yeah.
So
Can I have an email?
speaking of Bethesda logic, all right, I jotted down a document here just called "Stupid Stuff in Starfield."
Okay.
I'm not going to read every bullet point, but I am going to read the ones that are Bethesda logic.
You should
which
have one on
are-
there that about it that doesn't convey how to use the storage on your ship, because I needed Austin to tell me.
No, this is. I'm going to call out a couple of the ones that are specifically bad design choices, not like things that are held back by the engine,
Oh, okay.
not them doing the same old stuff, not the stuff that is worse just by way of making
So
that format
intentional
plug in space.
things.
Yeah.
These are intentional things they made for this game, which are similar to some decisions they made in the past, but different and worse. So like, okay, this is a very factions-driven game, and it is based a lot light on spoilers here, very very light on spoilers. Is based a lot on New Game Plus, or at least that's their intention.
Yeah.
So they don't have to allow you to do every faction in one playthrough, but they do in this one. And one of the stupid things that comes up from there, I have what do you call it? Show up at an orbital medical clinic to do dark corporate espionage, only for the doctors to immediately surrender themselves to you for arrest because you're also a galactic ranger, and that quest leads you to the same space station.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
I've got another one where you have to level up a medical perk where you have to heal in the middle of combat 20 times, and you do that by purposely taking damage without firing back so you can use the med packs.
Oh, the perk
You can
system.
level up a persuasion and a pistol perk at the same time by talking your way out of a fight and then murdering them anyway. And
That,
then,
yeah, that I
Oh
have
god.
seen, yeah.
okay, so then the next two I love a lot, and this will be the last ones I say, right? So second to last one here is officially starting a relationship with a character counts as a completed quest. So you get money when it happens, making it feel like you got paid to start dating. That's hilarious. And then following up on that, after you're in a relationship, every time you go to bed with your companion, following you around, they don't show anything, but it is very much implied that the two of you are boning. So you always want to get laid before any quest you're about to do, so that you get a 15% bonus XP to any experience point that you
Oh my
earn,
God.
because it gives you a status that says you feel emotionally secure. so you dock at an adversary's ship right before you finish this quest, right? And you are docking there to discuss a ceasefire.
Docking,
But
I
when you
get
dock there, you have a bed on board. You have a bed on board.
Hold
so
on,
you
we
get
gotta
laid-
fuck real quick.
Yeah.
Exactly. You get laid before you board, so that way when you conclude the current quest, you get 15% extra of
Oh,
it.
God, it's-
extra
Wait,
experience.
you're saying this is a
Before you
negative?
dock.
Because that
I
sounds
didn't
hilarious.
get it.
even know
I'm
any
saying-
of these things, and these are hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the systems in this game drive you to make like just the most baffling
Right.
decisions that they break your immersion and they don't make any sense and they're just tedious and annoying, and that's the Bethesda logic that I only gave you guys some highlights. I've got more, but
I want to
yeah.
hear the rest of these off the
Yeah,
recording,
yeah.
because I'm like, these are incredible.
That wraps up discussion on Starfield.
Yeah.
Does it?
yeah.
No, but we will get to Starfield.
All right.
What's
I mean, I
what's
think
everybody's
that's enough.
thoughts?
I think that Starfield wins.
I think
I do
probably
too.
Okay,
Starfield
so
wins
then-
too. Also another game that I could not bring myself to finish.
I did
just,
finish it.
I even went back to it. I tried to convince myself, no, I'm gonna push through and I'm gonna see the interesting bits. And then 2 hours into that, I'm like, I can't do it.
Okay,
I just
so-
lost the energy.
Do we have a consensus on Starfield as the winner?
That's,
Yeah.
that's fine with me.
Yes, but the one thing I am going to say is that I also don't find this disappointment that surprising, because there was and that sounded weird, but basically it's like when we first saw Starfield, we were like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is gonna be Skyrim in space, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But then they had a really good E3
Yeah.
showing, or not, was that still E3? Whatever, but or Summer Games Fest, whatever it is. But that was when things started to look like very promising for that game, and then it was still like,
That's because they're only showing you only showing you the rosiest parts of that game.
No, you're right. That's all the connective tissue that makes it so weak. But it's like it's just wild, like or the in betweens. But it's like we're talking about Bethesda had a new release this year, and it's like nobody cares.
Because it's disappointing.
I think it wins. I think you're right. I'm just saying it's like.
I'm getting to the point now where if you bring a game and show it off
they had
2 times
so
a year
much time and resources
for like 3 to 4 years in a row, and you still haven't put it out, you show like a lot. I'm just like, no, just shut the fuck up and release the game, and then this happens. This fucking thing comes out after you talked for like 1/6 of my playthrough on like in press. That was you. Talking about this fucking game?
Bethesda needed a win, Xbox needed a win, and this was not.
And they got one. It's called Hi-Fi Rush.
Well, you're right.
So
Starfield is a lock.
Starfield is a lock for win, and then for runner-up.
What else is on the?
We have Jedi Survivor, Atomic Heart, City Skylines 2, and Alien Hominid Invasion.
Ooh. Of those. I'm between Alien Hominid or Atomic Heart, but I think I'm going to say Atomic Heart. Behemoth, though.
It feels very universal with Atomic Heart then, with the exception of my dumbass.
Here's the thing. We talked more about Atomic Heart, but Alien Hominid is almost like sadder because of just like, it was, we just kind of shrugged our, like it didn't even occupy enough space in our, in our deliberations, which is telling.
How do you feel between Atomic Heart and Star Wars? Also,
I think Star Wars can get cut.
I think
it's a good game.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to hold on to it a little longer because I'm so disappointed by the technical performance.
So I was gonna say, if we gave Remnant 2 and Alan Wake 2 technical achievement,
can we give Jedi Survivor and City Skylines 2 the opposite?
The technical failure award. I'll do that.
Let's cut both of them, and then we'll give them technical failure of the year.
Yeah, technical failure of the year.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
then where Starfield is a winner, and then do you want to go around the room and vote between Atomic Heart and Alien Hominid?
I think mine's Atomic Heart.
Okay.
Because that trailer, I was just so hyped for that.
Yeah, even though I saw it through to the end, I can definitely understand where all of your frustrations lie.
And disappointing does not mean like terrible. Like it's not. It's not. Yeah.
It could have been better, and it definitely. Just because I played it and finished it and was okay with it doesn't mean that it couldn't have been a grander showcasing. So I'll make it easy and say Atomic Heart.
Atomic Heart.
All right.
I think Atomic Heart.
All right, Atomic Heart.
Yeah.
Andrew, sorry.
Not only was it, you know what?
You didn't play.
I'm sorry, I didn't play as many disappointing games.
You know what?
More selective.
You should check this out. It's pretty disappointing.
So ready? The game wasn't even disappointing upon launch. It disappointed us after the opening. That's when the disappointment. It's like it even got us through the opening. It's like it was such a whiplash of you're just like.
I mean, all three of these games. It's just it's an honor to be nominated. All three of these games. They have good ideas and.
Poor execution.
Poor execution.
Oh, really quick before we move on, Atomic Fart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll also wait. I want to add one more quick addendum to Starfield, which is that the kind of sci-fi story it was attempting to tell should have been extremely up my alley, and they just didn't execute on it.
I think I probably felt the same.
Yeah,
way.
I feel the exact same way.
Yep.
Okay. Next category.
Okay, just to quick summarize, the most disappointing game of 2023 is Starfield, and right after is Atomic Heart.
Heart.
The ultimate award is almost upon us. However, prior to that, we got to give out our last place trophy. Which release of the year did we find the most irredeemable, both in concept and execution? This shouldn't take long, but there is...
I only played good games this year, so I didn't play any of these.
Well,
real quick before I read through, we should
respect
specify
your time.
There are games on this list that we have not played.
Yeah,
and is that
Matt added them?
Right? Is that a rule or not?
I wanted to propose something.
Mm-hmm.
We do a worst game, and instead of doing a runner-up, we pick which one of the ones we haven't played we think was the worst.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
deal.
The runner-up is the game we didn't play that we think is the worst.
Well, then it's
and-
probably going to go to the one on here that was a literal scam and that you can't play anymore.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
Yeah.
Chill,
Cart
bro.
before the
Don't
horse.
spoil it.
So we have Redfall, Assassin's Creed Mirage, The Lord of the Rings Gollum, King Kong. No, it's not called. It's called King Kong.
Kong Skull Island, I thought.
No, it's Skull Island. King of the Kong. Damn it, man! You didn't even write the right name for the
Kong
game.
Edition.
You all know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Skull Island game mill game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day before, Amnesia: The Bunker, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, Exoprimal, and then I wrote Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 3. Parentheses for making me lose the draft the fantasy draft
right,
last
man.
year.
Let's get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Call of Duty does not hang with the games we have not played
No, I
on
know.
here.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut that right away.
I just had to.
Yeah, though that was
I know you said they had to make an example out of Call of Duty this year, but goddamn,
God
Can I-
damn.
get in the 50s
Can I
Yeah.
for COD?
as a send off? Can I like christen each title with like a little nickname?
Sure.
Call of Duty Rehash and Resell 3.
Okay.
Okay. Boom.
Boom,
Boom.
I'll put the vine boom in there.
Yeah.
Keep going.
boom. Next up.
Yeah.
I'll as we send
okay,
them
this
on.
is as we
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to cut Assassin's Creed Mirage because as much
Wow.
as I have, shit on it in the last category, it is nowhere near as bad as some of these other games that I have played.
Okay. So for this one, Assassin's Creed, this game, I wish this game was a Mirage. Boom.
Fine, boom. Okay.
I am going to cut Amnesia: The Bunker because I mean it's
Man, what a legacy.
it sucks and it's boring as they talk, but it's like I always try to like the series based on what I hear.
Can we just cut to the chase and
also
say
gotta-
we know what the
I
worst
kn-
game on here is?
No, let's make our way around.
Say
So
your piece, but
this got a decent bit of attention at launch, but I just can't. I'm sorry, Amnesia people. I just fucking get into Resident Evil
It
already.
sucks.
I'll take a blooper game over this IP,
it
but
sucks.
it's
They're like, we
janky
put
and
a gun in
shallow.
it, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool, and
That's
then
what
it
I
sucked.
thought. Yeah. This is
Okay.
kind of
All right, so that's
this
cut.
was just a flat line.
Exoprimal.
I will say,
Hold on.
I will say, unique
Moving
setting.
too fast.
Sorry, unique setting. At least I like the concept of World
Is
War
World
One
War
horror.
One a unique setting?
No, World War One horror. Like as
Death
for,
Stranding did better.
well, I mean, so did Eternal Darkness.
Construct is about to
We're
be
not-
good.
Single
That game's
chapter
gonna
of
be
Eternal
good.
Darkness.
We're not moving on.
This tops
I
the last
wish-
one that was
Sorry,
in
he's-
Egypt or whatever.
I
Jo-
wi-
it's joke time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
This is how jokes work. You give
Yeah.
me space. I wish I had Amnesia from the bunker.
Fine, boom.
Boom.
Okay, moving on. Exoprimal is like if Earth Defense Force was made by incompetent people.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's very tedious, and the tutorial in particular is lengthy and annoying.
And it's
And
like
the
an
way they pit you against the other team,
yeah,
against
it's
one
like
another,
a
is-
weird extraction shooter,
Weird,
but
it's
not because you can't actually fight each other. You just see ghosts of each other fighting, and you're score chasing, and it's
yeah,
just-
it's difficult to parse who's like what you're even doing and who's winning. So I
And
don't
we
know,
can
swing
cut
and miss.
that.
Yeah.
Exo.
Hey, they made it a Game Pass deal.
Here we go.
Last minute. I
Yeah. So
appreciate
they
that.
got
Okay.
a little extra pocket change.
Joke.
Exo poop mo. Boom.
Fine,
That was a little bit of a bun.
Yeah.
Hey, they can't all be winners.
Especially not in this
Okay.
category.
And then are you gonna listen? We played it. Are you gonna sit here and tell me that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is worse than Redfall?
Okay, hold on.
No,
So,
hold on.
I'm
You can say your piece on Avatar,
okay.
but if you try to sell this to me, I will. No shot.
I will say it's probably the least fun I had with a game this year. So I know we both enjoyed
Wow.
Way of the Water more than we thought we would, and had plans
Wow.
to co-op this, and together, and at least we unlocked the co-op after their 2-hour fucking prologue. But I don't have a problem with it just being Far Cry. Far Cry without the vehicles, gore, dubstep, humor, a good villain, and you know
That's a list.
a lot of. It takes forever to get a gun, but in this, but just discovering what you're supposed to do and where you're meant to go at missions is infuriatingly obtuse. It's so poor at telegraphing like information. There's no objective indicators in this game. I don't know if you guys know that. So it forces you to pin waypoints constantly, which is like, But
no, they have Avatar Vision, which is their version of waypoints, and it is just so poorly implemented.
Yeah, why did they do that? And there's strange decisions with the controls.
Honestly, this should have been the most disappointing.
Yeah,
because the gameplay of it is good. I like the art. It's a beautiful game.
It is.
The scale of it is really well done. Like the fact that you're an avatar.
Yeah.
Or you're a Navi and you're taller than all the humans.
It's a great looking game sometimes. The mission that and always technically, but the mission that I was stuck on was all gray and foggy and dreary, which is weird when you consider how colorful you associate the franchise with. But it's like when I mentioned the controls, I don't know if you noticed this, Austin. You can't put a grenade on your weapon wheel thing. It's mapped to 2 buttons at once at the same time.
I told you that.
Is that okay? I couldn't.
Yeah, because you couldn't figure out how to throw the grenade.
Yeah, why did they do that?
I don't know, man. I didn't have as many problems as you. You should just listen to what the game's telling you.
I don't care about
enjoy it.
The ecology aspect of the hunting and cooking shit. I just wanted to do fun action missions, and I don't know.
But it doesn't hang.
So I literally, all I saw was you playing that game, and you were like
visibly.
Oh my, yeah, no, you were like deflated. But I will say, it seemed kind of like a Far Cry reskin. Is that?
No, it is.
It is.
It's the same thing. That's like when they made James Bond, Call of Duty, or Harry Potter, Gears of War, which is ridiculous. It's like, I don't know, doing clones of our existing franchise with a different one is too limiting. So there's like, this is Far Cry, but because they're beholden to the universe of Avatar, which is a lot of unique things you can do with that, this ends up stripping a lot out. Like I said, like it's like one of the first types of enemies you run to are mechs, and you're like, oh, it'd be cool to be able to jump into that mech and use it, but you're 10 feet tall and have to crouch to go through
you're
doors.
As tall as the mech.
Yeah, so I don't know.
All right,
they should have had it where you can switch back and forth, like
Redfall.
Wait, it's getting. Oh, so real quick, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandering. Boom.
I think you're back on it.
Yeah,
all right. And now we cut that because we have to talk about one of the worst video games I have ever played in my entire life.
So
it is insane.
How did this happen?
It is insane to me that you say that the least fun you had was playing Avatar. Because I would rather be put through a meat grinder than ever play Redfall
I think
again.
I found Redfall fascinatingly awful, as opposed to like Avatar was just a hard miss for me. Redfall is like, what the hell is this? Like, I have to remind myself that this even released this year, and I know there were several.
Yeah. It fails in every single aspect. It's a loot game with bad loot. It's a shooter that has bad controls. It's an open world game with a sparse world. It's a vampire game where the vampires are so uninteresting and annoying to fight.
The AI is brain dead. Yeah, like
it's a Far Cry. It's another Far Cry clone that is way fucking worse at being Far Cry. Obviously, the Far Cry team, or actually the Division team, made Avatar, but. Obviously, the Far Cry team had some input on Avatar, so they're going to do a better job making a Far Cry because they are owned by the Far Cry company. But
you could say it's a far cry from being a Far Cry.
Yeah, this is just.
And also, it goes without saying, but the bugs. I think I can summarize my thoughts on this piece of crap by saying that the literal opening cutscene, which is after their slideshow intro,
the slideshow,
where a character is like. Model like talking to you.
I'm on a boat.
And their model, on the boat. Their model was flickering in and out of existence for me, and the dialogue for their didn't load in or whatever. So they were just dead quiet explaining the story as their mouth moved to me.
Listen,
and you're like, this is a Microsoft first party.
Listen, you played this. Remember how they used to do day one editions?
Yeah,
that's the whole issue right now. So
and this
you can't play any of these games on day one.
$70, and after years of
I think I mentioned this around the time it came out, but
you played it for one night, I think too. Right?
Yes, and I think it was just it is stunning that it's their concept was a mixture of a Far Cry shooter, a looter shooter, and a 4-player co-op shooter a la Left 4 Dead at a time.
All those things were exhausted.
Yes, at a time where all of these formulas, either no one was looking for them or there were people were just still playing the old versions of these. No one was looking for anything new. And I was like, who... It's hubris of just you cannot just take This is how you take the formulas, mash them all together, and be like,
"Oh, if it was hubris," because a lot of people making it didn't want it to come out.
Yeah,
they like there was no oversight by Microsoft. They're like, "This is going to get canceled, right?" Like, and let's
not forget to mention how the dev team has been pretty open about the fact that they were not being listened to.
Yes, yeah.
More time. We need more time. We
need more time. You need to cancel this. All this stuff was going on.
60 frames at launch.
That's what I mean. When I say hubris, I meant it's
executives.
Executives.
Yeah.
And it's an example of
you'll buy this shit.
That's it. It's an example of like what we've seen for years. Just pick different parts of a formula and put them together in a new way, and then just use that as an excuse to sell loot boxes.
I'm still like shocked.
It's giving Anthem.
When what is it? Yeah, like it's when Phil Spencer said that they did Eternal mock reviews or whatever, and they're like, it's around like maybe the mid 70s, and it's like
that's good enough for us.
Yeah, and it's like even if he was right, that's still like, you know, one of your flagship companies that you own and you're launching a new IP.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's like, listen, and it it didn't even hit that.
I think after the poor response, and then Phil Spencer having to come out and be like, "Yeah, we fucked up," and then Bethesda, after they purchased Bethesda, coming out with Starfield, and that kind of, I wouldn't say it was a catastrophic flop.
No.
But then they also missed the mark with that. Like, it's a mixed bag with that one. They needed to learn these lessons, because now you'll see, moving into the next year, their portfolio looks way stronger.
I mean, yeah, the developer direct happened today. I'm way more excited about all that.
Yeah.
Right. We'll cover that in a year from now.
And I do think, but I wonder when they did those, like, when they were like
could just be PR bullshit as well.
Saving face. Like, this goes so beyond the texture pop in and the connection issues. Like, it's just like, when this is working, what are you getting?
Yeah.
Like,
when it's working,
a wet fart.
It's still one of the worst games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't work.
Dude, when they let you out of the boat and it's just this nothing, like, you're like, what?
I'll be honest with you. My total take on this game,
Boston setting is kind of cool, though.
I was like,
it is very stylish.
Even if the main protagonists are not.
That is a shame. It is a stylish game.
I went into this knowing that it was awful, like 2 weeks after it came out.
Yeah.
And I was
You're doing it academically at that point, probably, right?
Yeah, I was like,
I need to know.
20 minutes. I was like, nah. I just am not interested.
You get off the boat, and the first thing you do is stealth kill somebody, and that's when you find out there's no animation for stealth killing.
What? That was...
All right, so Redfall wins. Worst game of 2023.
Redfall.
As played by us.
Yeah.
Presented by Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. No.
Yeah, we've got...
sponsored by...
The three that we didn't play.
The three that we didn't play, we can cut this short and say the scam.
Yeah.
The one that will be, mark my words, a future episode.
Yes.
There's no way that it...
Yeah.
I mean, the skill up. Watch, if you want to know why we're picking The Day Before over Skull Island, Game Mill Game, and Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Which both look like absolute ass.
They look like shit, but watch the skill up video.
You can buy them. You can play them.
On Day Before being a scam. Turns out that this game was just a scam to sell like a Microsoft Teams-like software, and it's insane.
Imagine if they made it to market and they sold this properly as like a, hey guys, we're gonna meet up for the meeting in this post-apocalyptic hellscape where we're scrounging for stuff. Business meetings on the 2nd Street in the blown out cafe. There's a hot tub on the back porch. We're gonna meet in there for the quarterly meeting. That's what I extrapolated from what you said of Microsoft Teams.
I think that it's apparently very easy to fool people on Steam, because I from day one of The Day Before, I was like, that doesn't sit right. They are making
a whole
promises.
Bunch of people are not old enough to remember Killzone 2.
What about Abandoned?
Hey, that Killzone 2 delivered enough.
And listen.
Yeah, Abandoned.
Yeah, what's going on?
I want to know how that guy got a fucking contract with Sony to appear at their shit.
I'm on a yacht.
I think that stands to. I was gonna say, obviously none of us played any of those games. It was like, if you want to, I don't want to steal a spot, but I mean, like, come on. It's like, it is a straight up, it was It was a scam. It's just like
it's the only game you can't play right now.
Yeah. Oh, and
how long did they make it? 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, and then the company
like,
went under.
It's like, how can you not call that like the worst game? It's
And I don't know if it's
peasy.
callous or if it was like embarrassment, but one of the devs, I think, or maybe even the main dev was like, sorry, it didn't work out. Shit happened.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, oh, okay, cool, dude.
And with that, we should we recap that? So all right, worst game we played, Redfall. Worst game we didn't play, the day before. So,
and no one will be able to play it ever again.
I was gonna say
maybe that's the best thing to happen.
And listen,
just the mercy.
Oh yeah, your jokes.
Yes, Red falls the tears from my eyes from playing this game. And the day
Like a
before the game launched, they knew they were fucked.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say.
a good one.
I was gonna say the day before I fled the country. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for the money, idiots.
Yeah, the day before I was arrested for embezzlement.
They're not American.
No, okay. Yeah.
And with that decided, the absolute best of the best is here. Game of the year. What was firing on all cylinders? What kicked the most ass and why? Who will join the ranks alongside our past winners, Hades, Psychonauts 2, and Elden Ring? And who will make it into the rest of the top 10? That's right. We've got 10 prestigious spots to be filled in order from least still great to the greatest. Put on your punching gloves, folks, because of it's a big list we've got. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's jam packed.
Hi-Fi Rush, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil 4, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Street Fighter 6, Baldur's Gate 3, Remnant 2, Mortal Kombat 1, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Dave the Diver, Chance of Sonar, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Cocoon, Backpack Hero, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, Rushdown Revolt.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, you hey, if you want to cut that for conflict of interest, you can, but technically it was like number 10 on my list. So
Okay.
And Wargroove 2, Jackbox Party Pack 10, Pizza Tower, Quake 2 Enhanced Edition, The Exit 8, Darkest Dungeon 2, Dead Space, and Lethal Company.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to cut Rushdown Revolt for ethics and games journalism violation. Flag on the play.
Yes.
it's okay.
You will be fined.
I just am putting down my 10 favorite games for the year. I understand. Rushdown Revolt available now.
Wherever Steams are sold. Okay.
Okay, so a few things. I mean, I think we need to thin the herd here because I see a lot of entries that it's like
shit. I meant to add 30XX on here. I don't know how you were feeling about that, Andrew, but
30XX did not break my top 10.
No.
No, in fact, if we weren't trying to keep our lists a little leaner, which might be a little bit of a laugh at this point, I might have put it on disappointing, just in that it is like it's 20XX but more of it and a little more confusing.
Well, it plays more like Mega Man X, but
yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. It's like it is a side grade to 20XX.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, it's I just want to give you credit, like, because the local co-op was a good time when we were messing. Yeah, like get rid of it.
This is a stacked year. It did not.
No, you're right. It does the whole just when we're run thing well and
okay. So
with the variety of powers you're in.
Nudaboom, I think.
There's more else. Is that still early access?
No, it is a full release. I did not put any early access things on here.
I don't know if there's more weapons or bosses coming, but.
So every game in my top 10 is represented on this list, but there are a handful at the top that I would want to fight for harder. And so I think a lot of them are going to be in common amongst us. So in the interest of time, what if we started locking a couple of games that are not moving? You know, stuff like Zelda, like Baldur's Gate, like Hi-Fi Rush, and for me at least, like Street Fighter. And I'm going to guess that Austin's going to want to lock Remnant.
Yep.
I want to lock Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. Resi 4, yeah.
That's like 7.
Okay.
Right there.
I think
So
we
that'll
did
make
something
things easier.
similar to this.
We did. We went around and we had a longer list last year. We kept it brief to keep the category brief. But we did like 5 apiece, I think, last year.
Well, yeah, we went around and we each asked to like lock one.
We can do that.
I kind of like that because it's the last category, and instead of just eliminating
All right.
one by
I mean,
one,
I can start.
We're okay.
Remnant 2.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay. Yeah, Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
I'll do Resi 4.
All right.
Okay.
And
Andrew's going to
it's probably
say
Baldur's Gate, right?
3.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
So that's 5.
So I know, I only got 2. We got Remnant 2, Hi-Fi Rush.
RE4.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the
No,
Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom,
Oh, sorry.
RE4, Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then what were the other locks that you said, Andrew? Street Fighter 6.
The only one that I am going to fight for to this level, right? To like the level of a Baldur's Gate 3, like Hi-Fi Rush somebody else locked, is Street Fighter 6.
Okay.
I think we should only lock 5.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, because we each get one, and then the rest of the list we have to argue.
But I think Austin and I are both feeling very strong about Street Fighter 6. And Sean, you how do you feel about it?
I'm indifferent out of Mortal Kombat and Street
I'm
Fighter.
I'm more on the side of Mortal Kombat because because of the campaign.
All right, so we're not locking it yet, but I will say that like it is Baldur's Gate 3, Hi-Fi Rush, and Street Fighter 6 that I feel so strongly about this year. They're just like, if we're gonna break down my top 10 into tiers, that is the tier I'm fighting hardest for.
So didn't we do more than 10, and then we basically
we whittled it down.
We whittled it down by doing more cycles. You know what I mean?
Wait, say that again?
So we would go past 10. Let's say we have 28 here.
Yeah.
Let's say we did 20.
Okay.
Then we only have to cut 10 from there.
Well, gotcha. Okay. I get what you're saying. All right. I'm not against that. If we do let's do 15. We'll do around the room 3 times.
So 3 times?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so it's back to you.
Back to me.
Mm-hmm.
You could just start with me because I already said it was Street Fighter 6.
Oh, sure.
We'll start with Andrew. Street Fighter 6. We do Snake Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go next. We'll go around the room the other way.
We're getting another pick. Skip. I don't have one picked out.
Okay. Well, that.
Alan Wake.
Okay.
Oh, was it? Yeah. That's probably would have been.
All right. So
then,
new picks Alan Wake. You got another one, Sean.
Spider-Man.
My guy.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it between that or Cocoon, maybe? But
you're next.
Yeah. I am going to say Diablo 4.
That's one I was like waiting for. Yeah, I was like, it's either between Final Fantasy or Diablo 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that it's like, yeah, a lot of our picks are kind of at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do we want to just
well, hold on, we got one more round.
Yeah, one more.
And then
we're doing 3.
Yeah,
I get 2 picks. We're going this way.
Yeah, because we gotta we're gonna pretty much consolidate.
That's gonna trim a lot of the fat.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so this is gonna be our third.
We're narrowing it down from 28 games to 15.
Okay, I was gonna say I feel like we could keep it at the 10.
No,
because we need to still fight for contention of top 10.
All right.
Yeah.
We go to 15, and then the ones that end up 11 to 15 when we order things just get cut.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna say Final Fantasy 16 for my third.
Randy.
This is gonna be a weird one, but I'm gonna say Jackbox 10.
Okay.
For me, Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
Yeah, Lethal Company then.
Okay.
I was expecting you to pick that. Okay. Andrew, you are the final
Cyberpunk.
15. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Doke.
All right. So what didn't get cut? I noticed Cocoon did not.
Nope.
Cocoon did not.
And I do want to point out, if we're saying our goodbye to that game, it is because that was close to mine.
That was also,
but
I was choosing between Final Fantasy 16.
It's play that game if you haven't. I mean, it's very accessible since it's on Game Pass and could be completed within like 5-6 hours. But it's beautiful in its simplicity. I love the concept of an entire adventure puzzle game being played with a single button.
Yeah,
the boss fights were like inventive.
They were surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
novel ways. It shows it's to figure out its solutions.
Let me say this real quick. We each got 3 picks, and we got 15. Are there any left on this list that anybody feels strongly about? Like, man, if I had a 4th pick.
That was the big one for me. Maybe Pizza Tower.
That's what I was going to say.
I like that it gets you right into the action.
Kind of those two.
Yeah, maybe those two.
Okay.
I mean, but is Pizza Tower going to hang with the rest of these?
Probably not. It got its, its dues. It's just I want to applaud that the game just throws you right in. The controls are tight and responsive. It's got a great soundtrack, and the nail biting run through the back of the level is perfect for speedrunners. I wonder if they're doing that at AGDQ this year. But
do you want to add Pizza Tower or Cocoon? Cocoon's got a decent amount of support.
Cocoon maybe is the only one. I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna throw Cocoon on there because we don't have a ton of indie representation other than.
I can't.
Okay, so line up the firing squad.
So I noticed Dead Space. Is that okay? That's okay with everybody?
Yeah, I don't care.
All right, it's beautiful. Cool. It's an awesome game. It's beautifully remade. It just doesn't justify its existence.
No,
I was it's not. It's
the lighting and sound.
If I'm gonna allow a remake on this list, which I am, it's RE4.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, having played the original game not that long ago, I will say it's like it looks beautiful. Not much else. It plays exactly the same.
Yeah, this is just the new optimal to play Dead Space, which was already great.
It's just more modern graphics.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry,
it was already good to play.
I just wanted to say that before it got.
Yeah, okay. Line up the firing squad. I'm editing gunshot sounds. Dead Space cut. Darkest Dungeon 2 cut. The Exit 8 cut. Quake 2 cut.
No.
Pizza Tower cut. Wargrove 2 cut. Shadow Gambit cut. Backpack Hero cut.
I still want to try Backpack Hero.
I do want to try.
Dave the Diver.
It's
cut.
very good.
Yeah.
Chance of Sonar cut. I like Backpack Hero a lot. And I think that's it.
So
shout outs to all those games for being
I'm surprised
an honor to be nominated. You know what I mean?
Is there anything people like? There's a couple games we covered a lot, but it's just like we never talked about Backpack Hero.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask.
I was mostly curious about Backpack Hero.
Throw it to Andrew.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on maybe one or two of those?
Backpack Hero is a great idea that in its roguelike mode is executed on pretty darn well. There's some room for more iteration to spruce it up. They've also got a story mode where the story is bad, but the macro layer that they build into the story mode is interesting and also very flawed.
Yes, I would agree
and like the way that it is interesting is something I would like to see a whole bunch of other people iterate on, not just these devs.
Are you aware of what the game is?
I played it at PAX East.
Yeah.
Okay.
We loved it at PAX.
I was going to say, that was like your pick of the con.
Extrapolating that out into a game is
for those listening that don't know, Backpack Hero is a roguelike, which is the inventory system from Resident Evil with the grid, but every weapon that you pick up and every item that you pick up, the way you arrange them in your backpack matters, and it gets very creative with that.
It's a very unique mechanic.
It's a I agree with 100% with everything Andrew said.
Yeah.
It's weird. If as a roguelike, if they just released it where you just did runs, I think it almost would be better. The story mode has a lot of flaws.
That's actually kind of funny because the demo was just one run, and I'm like, this feels great.
Yeah.
The story mode's strengths are in its ability to teach you how to use the various playstyles. And that's really cool because a lot of them were so like confusing when you just try to dive into them in the roguelike mode that you're like, I just won't engage with that at all. But then when you go into the story mode and they like give you incentives to try it, you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, and I see what they're going for now, and then you start incorporating that into your strategy. So there's a lot of good there, and then also a lot that they flubbed. I wouldn't even dock points just for the story mode being a little subpar because it's like the first time anyone's tried that idea to my knowledge. But even like the regular roguelike mode, I feel like could still use like a little extra spice, you know?
Yeah. And I talked about it on the last one, but shout outs to Chance of Sonar. Game's great.
Yeah. I was gonna say it just didn't seem like it made like the things that made the cut are heavy hitters.
Yes.
I also meant to add, I forgot, but I wouldn't have picked it anyway, but Evil Dead the game came out this year. It was all right.
What about someone also told me to play Dave the Diver, and I was just like, someone said I what do you call it? They recommend, and I was just like, I think you played it, right?
I did. I beat it.
Was it? And you did, but you're saying, but it made it onto best game, but you're saying,
It's way too fucking long.
Really?
And it does this thing where the initial pitch of the game is you have a sushi restaurant that you work at night serving sushi to people, and then during the day you dive underwater and catch the fish that you're going to turn into sushi.
Yeah.
And you have to like you have to hire employees and decorate and manage, and like that part's cool. And the game, like, they couldn't decide what they wanted to do that game as 3 separate things. The first part is the sushi restaurant simulator diving thing. The second part is like a melodramatic story where you find the lost city of Atlantis and like try to rescue the lost Atlanteans from global warming or whatever. And then the third one is just like parodies of video games. Like there's a Metal Gear Solid level parody, and then there's like a Tetris parody and a Guitar Hero parody, and like.
Well, we can see where that budget went.
And it's just like this thing where it's like...
You mean indie game, Dave the Diver?
Yeah, well, the budget. Definitely not indie game budget.
It's this thing where you're like, when stuff is happening in the story mode, you still have to do the day-night cycle, manage the sushi restaurant. That doesn't go away when stuff is happening in the story. And when the parodies happen, they happen in between the story and also you managing this restaurant. And it's just like... Parts of the game that are good as an individual piece become frustrating when one gets in the way of the other, which gets in the way of the other. And also, that game is over 20 hours long and should not be. It should be like 8.
You know what? I'm thinking of a game right now that is exactly like that. I'm not going to bring it up to discuss it, but it's like, this game is great, but you just made it too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shadow Gambit, the Curse Crew.
The Alien Isolation effect.
No, it was a Papers, Please clone. And I was like, those mechanics are great, and I loved it, but it's just like...
Was it Police Contraband?
What?
Is that the game you're talking about?
No, it's called Not Tonight.
Okay. The club one?
Yes, you're a bouncer. The problem is, Papers, Please is only like a couple of days, and it's like you have to do months, like multiple times, like multiple days, and you're like, dude, this is it.
The pitch for that or the idea for that is, I love this. I want this to never end, and then they make it. It's like. Nobody else wanted that.
Turns out that the guy ended it when he did for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a list of 16.
All right. So how do we...
I have a thought.
Okay.
All right. I think there is going to be a lot of overlap among the top games on this list, and I think of the 4 here, I'm guessing here, so please correct me as I do something very brash and propose a preliminary order for the top 4.
I think that's still 2 ahead.
Maybe, but just based on what we played or whatever, we'll at least get a temperature of the room.
Wait, you mean wait? You're trying to choose the number 1 game?
No, not a definitive order.
I'm going to
top
say
4 in
potentially
no random order.
Potentially. Oh no! I was going to say the top 4.
All right, you're going a little too far
4.
now.
Okay.
I thought the top 5 would have... Well, no. We're not doing the game of the year before we...
The reason why I was going for that is because there's so much overlap, and also because I'm sure nobody else is going to say that Remnant 2 is a slouch or anything, but also because of Austin's strong feelings for that probably makes it in the top 4, right? And Hi-Fi Rush probably makes it in the top 4. Zelda, Baldur's Gate, probably top 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3 of the top 4 that we probably agree
I still think anything can get shifted around, though.
All right. Well, at the very least, let's shift Remnant 2 below those 3, maybe.
Well, no, we can't be flipping around. We'll rank position once we get the 10.
Okay. All right.
There's
Cocoon
still too much,
is probably right where it belongs.
There's too much fat that we have to trim. Also, not everybody I think is seeing the same document of things getting moved around. I'm gonna do a self-sacrifice.
Okay.
And cut Jackbox 10. It is a better package than last year's entry. TKO is a pleasant return. It's always welcome. So the tapping on the screen for them to duke it out in the final fight is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But other standout entries like here are definitely the pop culture history trivia one. I like how entry level it is to grasp. I mean, you're just guessing like when things happen. The music rhythm game, obviously. The hidden role is like in that category. Like, that's probably the best they've done with that type, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The only weaker slice in this is the texting game, and it's middlingly fun.
The texting game, I have thoughts on that. We don't have to get into, but I think that is hard for certain people to do.
Yeah,
Jackpot games are all about including everyone, and I think there are certain people whose sense of humor
tough for like your parents and
I think that I can make that game funny.
Yeah,
but that's just because that's the way I express my humor, and the way other people express their humor, it doesn't work. There's too much pressure to it. It's too timed and structured. as opposed to like a Quiplash where it's like anybody can shine.
Still though, that's a damn good batting average.
Oh yeah, it's
10 years of these and nobody can do it like the Jackbox company still, like and not even close. Like these are special, and I look forward to.
I mean, this is the
them
best
every year.
This is the best one in a couple
never
of
let
years.
us down. I agree. So. That's why it's if the year wasn't as strong with other releases, then I'd go harder for it. But they'll forever be the gold standard on how to entertain a room. Now just make a version that puts them all in one package already.
I agree.
Because no more needing the track of or needing to and launch multiple executables and remember what's in which thing. And but hell, you can skip a 2024 installment. Just do that. Yeah. I promise. People would be happy and satisfied with it. But
in the spirit of cutting picks,
that's why I cut one of my own.
Yeah, my
so now it's in
my
even
third
15.
pick was Star Wars, if I remember correctly. I feel like the other stuff that we have here is stronger. As you said, the performance issues out of the gate just really sucked.
I put Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy on here.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy was my third pick. If Jedi Survivor wasn't such a technical mess, it would easily top Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. So with that, I think it was an obvious upgrade to 1. I think they improved in every area. I think the story felt a little tighter even, and it was more grandiose, and I feel like you're getting the representation of like powering up with Cal.
It's a solid improvement, and they don't fall for the trap of a Metroidvania game where you're just like, all right, the beginning of the game, Cal tripped over a rock and lost all his powers.
Yeah.
They take all of the powers.
I think I asked you about that when it came out. I was like, how do
they take all the powers you had in the first one, and then they build on it.
And they amplify them.
They do that so well. I just wish that game ran it above 720 and above 30 frames.
Yeah,
720 is like unbelievable. I cannot believe that is the case.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how optimization will just ruin the vibe for your release.
If they just built that game with the exact same assets as the first one and it was the same game, it would have been better. I mean, they overstretched.
I played the PS5 port on PS5 for the first
Fallen
Order. It needed a facelift.
I know,
it was a little too last gen. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but again, if you're gonna whatever you're gonna shoot for, make it achievable and optimized at launch, and then we don't have this conversation. So it just even though it was a fun little romp, I don't see it maybe hanging in the top 10.
Okay.
And we're saying goodbye to Star Wars?
Yes.
All right.
See you next time, Cal.
So that's 4 more, and then it'll be the top 10.
Yeah. So, tell me your guys' thoughts on Lilo Company. Does it make it to the top 10? Because I'm looking out on here.
It wouldn't bother me if it did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
I think it's a good 10 spot.
Okay. Yeah, fair. That's what I was asking. I'm like, it's like right at the edge there, because I would be perfectly happy to see it in the top 10.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did anybody have Cocoon particularly high on
That's what I was
list?
about to say. Cocoon is in my personal top 10, but it didn't make the initial round of drafting, so do we...
and I wouldn't just exclude it on those merits, because
no,
it could
you're
be
right.
that,
hey, listen, I tried to play it. Doesn't have sound.
Mm-hmm.
The game doesn't have sound on PC.
Oh, right, I forgot.
That pissed me off so bad, because you guys each said that you liked it, and it was like a good experience.
That would have wrecked it,
We're going to cut it
for me as well.
because Sean didn't have sound.
Don't put that on me. No, I really wanted to. This was one of the games that I highlighted to get my hands on before we kind of sat down and had these discussions. Yeah. And I was super bummed. It took me like an hour and a half. And it still never
everything
solved it.
Andrew said about Viewfinder and disappointing was this was the opposite for me. Right. It's not perfect by any means, but every time I thought, I was like, where are you going to go with this? And they went somewhere, and I was like, oh, okay.
And it has the satisfaction, again, of another game that just starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I played 30 minutes. I was like, this is pretty fucking cool. But the fact that I have no audio to go along.
Fucking bummer, man.
I was just trying to guess what it sounds like.
All right, let's leave that on for now.
Okay.
I'm going to propose. Let me pitch to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
My 2 and 3 were Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Based on what I have said about them so far in these deliberations, which one would you guys think deserves to be on the list? Because I'm willing to cut one.
Yeah,
I'm
but
so
not
glad
both.
you went this route with it.
Fantasy. You kind of convinced me with the story thing. I was like, it sounds interesting. Whereas, I mean, Diablo, I don't know.
I might have said Diablo had more in the moment category than Final Fantasy, did it?
Yeah, I mean, they both had. No, I think Diablo.
I'm trying to think.
I think Diablo's moments
looking
are better.
back on it, what do you recall more fondly?
Sean played Diablo.
Yeah, I played Diablo. My moment for this game came and went.
Yeah,
I think it was a lot of people's.
I have no interest in going back. Yeah. Zero.
Well, so
that's kind of why I'm pitching it, because Diablo 4 is higher on my list, but I can't, like, if Matt was like, oh, after these, podcasts was like, oh, you know what, maybe I will get Diablo 4, I'd be like, I don't know if I can recommend it anymore, man. Right. They fucked that game up.
And they're trying.
Our experience will never happen again.
And they're trying desperately.
Yeah.
I think they just announced what season 4 is going to be.
Yeah.
Like the theme. But I'm so disinterested.
I uninstalled it.
It was a flash in the pan. Whereas you have actually managed to make me more interested in Final Fantasy from the podcast. And I was like, oh, this actually sounds like it has a very intriguing storyline, very political thriller type thing.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Andrew?
Well, I was going to ask some other questions that you guys answered different ones, but gave credible reason to cut it, so never mind. I was basically going to say, if it was like a replay value discussion, if you thoroughly enjoyed that first playthrough, I would keep it on, but also the thing that you did answer maybe is good enough grounds to cut it. And speaking of good enough grounds to cut it, enough of you guys seem passionate about everything above Jackbox, everything above Cyberpunk on this list that I'm willing to cut Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just for the listeners, I'm cutting Diablo 4 and leaving Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And Cocoon got cut, right? There's no strike through on it.
Yeah.
Cocoon. Sean hated it. I don't know.
I did hate it. Honestly, I did, because not knowing what the world sounds like
sounds incredibly frustrating.
Drove me insane.
Yeah.
So what? We're down to 11 now.
Yeah.
Okay, Austin. Well, who else played Final Fantasy?
I think it was Austin.
Just me.
Okay,
that doesn't nullify it.
That doesn't nullify
no,
it.
It doesn't nullify it, but how much? You're probably more passionate about Final Fantasy than you are Mortal Kombat 1. How much? It might come down to that. Like, you might have to make an argument on which one of these survives.
What about
or Lethal Company?
What about Spider-Man 2? Was that mind blowing? Like, was that like top of the list? Like,
so everything I said about Jedi,
mm-hmm.
minus the technical difficulties, they hit the ground running, and every improvement that has been made.
This game is a technical marvel.
Yeah,
it runs so well.
Oh man,
Insomniac is so good at what they do.
And it's not just that.
That might get the technical award.
But literally, this having the first Spider-Man game be Peter Parker, the second Spider-Man game be Miles Morales, or expansion, or a game turned into expansion. Right, we'll strike that, reverse it. But yeah, this is like joining of those both of those stories, and I think I thoroughly enjoyed what I was playing. I liked where the story was going and everything like that.
If you're asking between Mortal Kombat 1, Spider-Man 2, and Final Fantasy 16, one of those
or Lethal Company.
Lethal Company, I would still cut Mortal Kombat. But I know there's more. I'm not the most passionate for that game.
I didn't get a chance to play it yet.
Yeah. I mean,
that's not my decision.
No, I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I know Andrew is obviously in the Street Fighter camp. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah. Well, we can definitively say hot button as a company statement. Street Fighter is better than Mortal Kombat.
No, it's not.
But no, so Randy, real quick, right? Like I did mention that there was like that tier at the top of my top 10 list of like, these are the ones I want to fight for the hardest.
He is going to fight for Street Fighter, yeah.
I'm going to fight for Street Fighter harder, but right under that is Mortal Kombat 1. Like that's the next one on my list.
I'm not saying we can only have one and not the other. And I concede where the passion is for Street Fighter 6.
Here's what I'll say. I did the thing with Diablo and Final Fantasy. As like I get to keep one of my 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, my top 5 is if you flip Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 4, that's my top 5 for the year.
I can't see what you see.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah.
Okay. If you take Street Fighter and swap it with Resident Evil 5, my top 5 for the year, not in this order, is Remnant 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Zelda, Baldur's Gate, Street Fighter.
Okay.
So, like, me being like, oh, I can keep Diablo or Final Fantasy, it's like, dude, I got a lot of games on this list. Like, I've played a lot of games.
That's why.
But
that's
I've got
how
a
I
lot
feel.
of games on this list. And if we're also going to throw Spider-Man in there, I mean, I didn't hate Mortal Kombat.
Right.
So I am totally okay with cutting Final Fantasy.
And
If
Sean,
I'm the
you
only one that
also
played
are a
it.
Mortal Kombat enjoyer?
I honestly didn't get around to playing it, but
if you don't mind, if you don't mind your,
Okay.
I
If
think
that gets
you
us
guys,
down to 10,
Yeah.
I'm willing.
you know, okay,
Okay.
fair.
It's not.
That's
would
very
basically-
diplomatic of
It's
you.
an
was
honor to
very
be
dip-
nominated.
I would
Oh, yeah.
basically be arguing and saying
Now-
your feelings versus
That being
everybody's
said,
feelings.
Granted, I should also state that, like, I think Mortal Kombat 1 is still far weaker than 11.
Yeah.
And it might not even hit the heights
And
of 9
that's
and
the
10 for
problem,
me,
right?
but it's still Mortal Kombat.
That's the
you
problem,
know?
right? Because Street Fighter
Monkey
6
Firecracker.
is so much
In
stronger.
a year of
than
fighting
5.
games, but
Well, I'm not even saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying like the leap from 11 to 1 is a
Yes.
downward, a small
it's
downward,
a downward leap as opposed to
And
the
leap,
jump from
the leap from Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6 might as well be somebody fucking hopping over the Empire State Building for Christ's sake. Like that game
So,
is so. That is the best fighting game I have personally played in a very long time.
Should we put Mortal Kombat 1 at 10 and Lethal Company at 9, or Lethal Company at 10 and Mortal Kombat at 9?
Oh, I mean that's.
You know, I mean,
That's-
I was
that's
gonna,
a
yeah,
Yeah,
question
that's.
for the
I was
room,
literally gonna ask that.
yeah.
Well, how about we just put those two at the bottom, and then
Yeah.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll figure
I think it's like those are, they're
Alright.
both. cozy
Austin, you
nine.
mind if I drive a little bit?
Like copy and paste stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You have a mouse and a
You
keyboard.
have a mouse and a
Yeah, I just-
keyboard. This
yeah,
is way
please.
harder on a touchscreen.
But Andrew, just make sure you describe what you're doing.
He's putting
Yeah,
Lethal Company and
exactly
Mortal
what I
Kombat
said.
at 9 and 10.
Why
Oh,
don't you- can
okay.
you do me
Yep.
a favor? Can you bump the list up one cell so that it's actually the rows are actually numbered 1, 2, so I don't have to subtract one in my mind?
There you go.
That's
Thank
a
you.
request
Perfect.
right there.
Yeah, it is. And it's like,
All
okay,
right.
now I can see the numbers.
At number, well, in the middle, what is it like? Is Spider-Man 2 maybe?
Okay, so
I
here's
am
what-
okay with Spider-Man 2 being 8.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
So, I would only ask how high is Remnant's your number one?
Remnant is my number 1.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think I don't feel super strongly about Spider-Man enough to.
Do you personally feel stronger about Spider-Man than Alan Wake? Because me and you are the only two that have played both.
No, Alan Wake would go above Spider-Man.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that
I'm sorry about Alan Wake earlier, by the way.
Yeah.
that's
Just
okay.
pull parts. I
Oh,
love
no,
that-
no,
I love
no,
that Alan
it's
Wake
a-
segment.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still
We'll
mad
get to
about
it.
it.
I know, but I feel
I
it's like
still-
maybe I'm gonna come back next year and say it's amazing. I don't know.
It's
Like,
all right. It's all right.
It happens. Because I think I'm looking at this and I'm like what Andrew was saying before about like the consensus being like, I know Remnant 2 isn't going to be everybody's. I know that's moving down, but it's like the consensus. I am looking at this and I'm like, I wouldn't put Spider-Man above Alan Wake, Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Baldur's Gate, Zelda, Hi-Fi Rush, or Remnant.
You wouldn't put what?
I wouldn't put Spider-Man
Yeah.
2 above
Right.
anything
So-
that's already
so
above it.
Would
So-
you put Remnant 2 in front of Alan Wake 2?
Oh, me? Hell yeah. I would
Yeah,
put
that's
Alan
his
Wake
game of the
2
year.
on this list.
Okay.
That's a you guys thing.
Okay. So, where are we at on Alan Wake 2? Because it's currently sitting at number 7.
Let's send this over to you and Matt. How much higher do you think realistically you can push Alan Wake 2?
I think
Or do
that's
you-
the problem. I think that's the problem is like I've really been enjoying Alan Wake 2, and it is a solid top 10 game of the year for me. The problem is the other top 10, the rest of the rest of the list above it is very crowded.
A 7,
games that
the
are-
7th place could feel pretty comfy for it.
So I think we're looking at like a lock for 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10 still need to be ordered, and then we need to order everything.
Let's decide
from
9 and
6
10 now.
above.
Let's do 9.
Okay.
Does it sit well with everybody at Mortal Kombat 1 at 9 and Lethal Company at 10?
I think it's perfect.
That works
for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I
Okay.
care which way it goes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right.
then
So
7
then we
and
just
8.
have to order 1 through 6.
So 7 and 8
I'm
is
gonna-
Alan Wake and Spider-Man, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna propose something for potentially for number 1. Might be a little contentious. What if it's Hi-Fi Rush? because
that ain't contentious with me.
I think we've been building to that this whole podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Okay,
It's
because
the only game that we all played and loved.
yeah, and the thing is like some of us played Zelda, some of us played Baldur's Gate 3. I think only one of us played both.
And listen,
yeah.
in another year, I might be like, you're crazy. Zelda's way better than Hi-Fi Rush. Or Baldur's Gate's way better than Hi-Fi Rush. Or Remnant's way better than Hi-Fi Rush. But it's not, though. Hi-Fi Rush is so good.
Yeah.
It's so just joyful and love it. Like, I mean, this warms my heart. I'm smiling so much right now because I didn't have enough to say last year in the God of War versus Elden Ring debate.
Yeah, which I've completely turned on.
Yo,
with more time and sense.
You were going for God of War pretty.
I was going for God of War, Andrew. Yeah, I mean, I made the joke from soft to hard, you know? Man, that fucking game, I cannot wait for the DLC. I
know, man.
Maybe 4 to 6 weeks, here. I'm so hyped.
So,
and I'll say,
but it is cool that Valhalla they got that free DLC. That's tight.
I don't know that I'm going to have the political will to get Baldur's Gate 3 higher than third on this list, especially in a year where Nudaboom hasn't played it yet.
You know what's funny? If I had played it, it probably would be number one because I would argue the shit out of it. I'm sure.
So I think what you're getting at is that at some point, regardless of positioning, it is going to be Tears of the Kingdom versus Baldur's Gate 3.
I think the top three we currently have, which is Hi-Fi Rush, Zelda, and Baldur's Gate, and then the middle three that we have, which is Remnant, Resident Evil, and Street Fighter 6. That seems like a good grouping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just deciding order.
Yes.
Like I think Hi-Fi Rush, Zelda, and Baldur's Gate 3 can't not be the top three.
I agree.
Even though I love Remnant with all my heart.
Yes.
But I am willing to let that go into the
Should we just
the middle of the pack.
real quick on some of these because I would say Remnant 2 and RE4 are two games that and maybe a little bit of Street Fighter 6 we didn't talk about a lot in other categories. We can keep it brief, but prove
so
why.
What do you want to do first?
Remnant.
Yeah, talk about Remnant.
Talk about Remnant. Okay,
because it wasn't in a lot of other.
People have been trying to clone Dark Souls for years. Some have done better than others. People have been trying to clone Destiny for years, and some have done better than others. Remnant 2 is Destiny without all of the bullshit that makes Destiny bad.
Yep.
And it's Dark Souls. It's all the best parts of Dark Souls put into a game that is not fantasy.
Yes.
Really, it's science fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's got horror elements, but it's also like it's all the best parts of Dark Souls repurposed for a different genre, which is a thing that people should try more, and they don't. They just like make Lords of the Fallen reboot and straight up just make Dark Souls 3 again, but worse. And this is just like, it's co-op. It's better co-op, better replayability, better loot than a Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's better, like it's better co-op. And I mean, it's built for co-op in a way that Dark Souls isn't. Which is, and it's like, but it takes the loot system from Dark Souls rather than the fucking all-in-your-face Diablo, Borderlands, Destiny-style loot where I'm digging through menus
this loot
constantly.
matters, and
you get the starting gun,
shower you
and
with,
you
like,
fucking stick with that shit because it rules from start to finish unless you find something else you want to try, like an assault rifle.
I'm happy with my shotgun. I've been using it for a while now.
Yeah, but it's just, and the Remnant 2, I've said it before, is like Remnant 1 is top 20 video games of all time for me, and like I think that there are some places that Remnant 1 succeeds where Remnant 2 kind of falters. But for the most part, visuals, gameplay, some of the boss fights, the class system that they redid, the armor system that they redid. Yeah,
not say no.
It's just
Certainly
Remnant 1,
there.
despite how much I love it, always felt like a proof of concept that could be something more, and Remnant 2 is that something more.
Yeah, it feels like Remnant 1 was the prologue to Remnant 2 because
I was neither surprised because
I
love Remnant 1 so much, but I was also not disappointed, which if Remnant 2 disappointed me, it would have crushed me, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It is just so fucking good at everything it does. The only problem
You're making me really want to get back to it because we're in
the only problem I have with it is just it's
slight server issues.
It's got a little bit of connectivity issues and it's got a little bit of technical issues.
It happens.
This is 2024. Okay?
Yeah.
But
at the same time, it's just like I'm not a huge fan of I like playing games with my friends, but I am not the biggest fan of like repeatable co-op like Left 4 Dead.
Mm.
I mean, zombies is the GOAT, so
It's true.
But like, and like Firefight and all that, they're all great.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to keep coming back to them.
Yeah.
Right. And in the same way, Destiny and all of its fucking horse shit, it takes a game made by one of my favorite developers of all time and makes me not want to play it every time I boot it. And Remnant 2 is just like right in the middle. It's just got just enough progression to not be that repeatable thing that Left 4 Dead is, and it's got just enough like thought put behind the loot and the systems and the leveling that it's not one of the million Warframes or Destinies out there.
Yeah.
And it's just such a perfect co-op experience. I mean, biggest fault of it is that you can only play with 3 people. Like that's its biggest problem.
I think I said that at the time.
but like it's just so fucking good at like most of the stuff it's trying. There's some bullshit boss fights in there, but
yeah, it was funny.
There's also some bullshit boss fights in Dark Souls.
We did the 2 main ones, and that first boss fight, I was like, "This is really cool."
Yeah.
And we got in it just at the we clinched right in there, and we're like, ah. And then the second one was bullshit. And when I mentioned it to you, you're like, "Yeah, I know that one."
Yep. I mean, like, and like the DLC that they released for it, I'm not usually a DLC guy either, but they added a new class. Which is called the Ritualist, and I just walk into a room and I shoot my shotgun and it instantly poisons and sets everyone on fire, and then when they die, the fire spreads, and I just clear out rooms with one shotgun shot. It's fucking rules.
So I was going to make a proposal. I mean, like, I would not be upset to see Tears of the Kingdom drop down into the 4 to 6 range and just put Remnant 2, because it's like, if you told me it's like, all right, which game do I think deserves it more? I would say, like, I liked Remnant 2, I don't know, better, but it's just like, when I think of it, I'm like...
I think it's got a steep hill to climb over Baldur's Gate, but if you guys are, as the Zelda defenders, if you want to put Remnant higher...
I personally don't feel that way at all.
Like, it being better than Zelda?
Well, just, obviously, I don't
have a stake.
Have a say in, because I haven't played Remnant 2, but I think Hi-Fi Rush, like, and... Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate is the top 3. If you guys feel differently about that and you want to sneak Remnant in there.
I'm okay with keeping Zelda in the top 3 if we make Remnant 4.
Okay, so...
Now we have to figure out RE. And
this is where, all right, I'm going to do my...
I think this list is perfect if we swap Resident Evil and Street Fighter.
I'm going to... all right, Street Fighter's getting knocked... All right, I'm going to do my spiel on Resident Evil 4. Real quick.
Go for it.
So
Resident Evil 4
Andrew,
remake.
Cue up the
Sorry,
Street Fighter
Resident Evil 4
spiel.
remake. So we haven't talked that much about Resident Evil 4 as a game yet, but the action is as fun and as fluid as ever. And they expanded the already beloved original in a lot of ways with like the puzzle solving is back more. There's optional side quests. It obviously looks great and runs well in that engine, but the shooting and the controls are they're so tight. And they've changed a lot of aspects of the way the boss fights work to make them better. It's the pacing is fantastic with your goal changing like really frequently. You're never doing the same thing for that long. But Resident Evil's, like these newer ones have kind of all been like that, but it's like the inventory and upgrade system is what you want it to be. Like the treasure system got hugely improved. I liked that a lot, combining the jewels, the gemstones into making stuff, and the knife parry mechanic, it's all right. That's not my favorite. I don't like that it breaks, but I will. Okay, so I also will I will be fair. It has similar problems to the OG one as well.
Yeah,
I think I've been on record before as crazy as this sounds that RE4 was never my favorite of the series. I always found it a bit too linear and kind of limiting, and the general setting and art direction just isn't my jam, especially compared to 7 and 8. But and 2, it's just a bit drab, and they do what they can to really give it some character, especially in the castle. Although fuck the part with the catapults, but and the mercenaries and DLC are fine. But that said, in my opinion, it's still the best franchise in video games, and this continues their fucking, like, their streak of, of fantastic, like, of just great entries. And I think it's funny because I think this has like stronger reviews than even the RE2 remake, and I think that's
crazy
too far. 3 was, I think, a bit of a step back with a lot of people, but still, still good.
I mean, if that's the worst it gets.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the only reason it got those scores is coming hot off of 2.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's I think they're still the gold standard when it comes to this type of game, and I think they're still iterative. Like, not a word, but it's still iterative in the same way that Remnant 2 is, and even probably Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom has a lot of new shit going on, but it's also like, I wonder if it's a little bit alleviated just because of like Breath of the Wild and reinvented the formula, and this kind of expands on it. But I can't really place like our Resident Evil 4 versus Remnant 2. I
can.
I know they're both
kidding.
third-person action shooters, but like they could not be designed more differently. I know, and that's
true.
That's even though obviously one is single player and one is multiplayer. But I think of a lot of the games. All the games I played this year, excluding Hi-Fi Rush, Resident Evil 4 was the one that's just like, my gaming sessions don't typically go all that long, and those were games that I like.
It's a rare couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
for you.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And mostly because it's just want to see, like, because it's like I've already played Resident Evil 4 a bunch of times. I know where the story goes and all that, but and we spoke in the last episode about how they fleshed out characters more. But like with this, it was like Resident Evil in general, like, and Village was like this for me as well, and same with the 7 and the 2 make and 3 make, but it's like there's always like one more thing you can do before you do your manual save, before you shut off. It's like, let's go complete that real quick, or let's like do the treasure thing let's upgrade my weapons, and like
reorganize the inventory.
Yeah, reorganize the inventory one more time. So But that's it.
I mean, my biggest complaint with Remnant is that our friends, whom I love with all my heart, are lame asses and go to bed at 9:30 p.m.
You don't have a choice.
So
that's when me, Matt, and Alfred start getting.
I know.
Yeah.
So I can only play it for like 2 hours a night, and every time those sessions end, I'm just like, man, I just want to play more fucking Remnant.
I love Resident Evil with all my heart, but if Hi-Fi Rush is number one, I'll toss RE4 in the trash can.
I mean, it is.
It doesn't need to go to the trash can. It only needs to go to number 6.
You heard him. Put it below Lethal Company.
At this point, I'm already glowing. So if
Cocoon's back in the mix,
I'm realizing it out loud that if
RE4 and bring back Final Fantasy.
If Resident Evil, I mean, Matt, I know you played Resident Evil 4 and quite liked it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you stand. Austin, I know you played it and beat it. Sean, did you?
I did play
you
it.
You played it and beat it? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't beat it, but yes, I played it.
It is the worst one of these that they have made other than 3. But that being said, 7, 8, and the 2 remake are all 3 of the best horror games I've ever played. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think 5 on a list is
Well, this would actually be 6. But
well,
if it's Street Fighter 6 versus Remnant 2.
I just swapped them, but if that was premature, let me know. But
no, I mean you gotta spiel about Street Fighter 6.
All right, so Street Fighter 6,
Capcom v Capcom.
Yeah,
they're killing it.
Okay, there's a scene in Batman Begins where Bruce Wayne.
This is a weird way to get.
Bruce
if you'll take a stroll with me to Batman Begins,
it's a much shorter stroll when you let me finish. So he's on the ice training, right? And he's like, yield. And he goes, no, you haven't beaten me. You've sacrificed your footing for a killing stroke. And then Bruce Wayne loses that fight because he falls through the ice.
Uh-huh.
Street Fighter 6 has that moment, that feeling of being like, oh man, you thought you won? Guess again. And then you get to make this comeback because they put themselves in burnout. They took a risk that they shouldn't have taken. And you come back and win the fight. And that is one of the best feelings. You just feel so smart. And that is just a product of the systems they put together. And some of the other things that system accomplishes is getting rid of a lot of long-standing problems that they had, especially with 5. So, like, Street Fighter 5 was famously, like, got one more year of DLC than it was going to because they had to buy more time for 6 to go through development, and you can see where that time went because none of these systems were arrived at, like, by accident, It was like, okay, there's a big problem with 5 where you kind of just had to memorize frame data. that's gone because you can just perfect parry. You can drive impact, which is just armor to go through their attack, that kind of thing. There's always like an intuitive answer to what your opponent is doing to you, and at least in my experience when I was learning it, but maybe from the pick up and play perspective, somebody else would like to weigh in as well. But there was never a situation where I was like, I don't know what I could have done about that, because the answer for what you could have done was always one of a couple of different options, in addition to some of the more advanced stuff if you really studied the game, right? So there was always a way out of it, and it's just, can you outthink your opponent, which is when fighting games are at their best. And they also managed to speed the game up. They also managed to solve a really boring stalemate condition in Street Fighter V where both people would be fishing for a last hit. Like, they fixed so much, they made it exciting, they coupled that with, like, a killer art style where everybody's got like muscle jiggle on impact, and you can really see like ripples of force go through their muscles as they punch a dude. Like, it's insane. And they couple that all with, the aesthetic stuff that we covered. Like, it all just like, it all fits together so well. Story mode maybe could have been a little better, but the actual like fighting mechanics that they put together,
I will
like,
say
it is.
If we're talking about these relative to their franchises, then I'm willing to give a standout entry in the Street Fighter lineage than a really good one in a different, in a different series, especially one that is a remake. But
my only input to Street Fighter is I was like a Melee fan, obviously, in the FGC. Street Fighter 4 got me into the expanded universe of FGC. I followed a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that. I've become fans of these people and watching this stuff. I completely lost interest with 5. And now with 6, I feel like it's re-sparking, not even as a participant, but it's re-sparking that love for the Street Fighter franchise and series.
It's as exciting to watch as it is to play.
Right. Whereas I feel like 5, for me personally at least, missed the mark.
Not just for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that doesn't add much, but that's pretty much all I have to say in regards to like this.
And there's a decision that people very often have to make when deciding on fighting game rosters like this, where you're like, well, we need the OGs, we need the people that people expect to be here, and we need new people.
Yeah.
And this is a place where like Street Fighter excelled so much where I feel Mortal Kombat failed, because everybody that's returning is better in Street Fighter 6, and everybody that's new fits right in.
Yeah.
Both mechanically and stylistically.
I'll say one thing about the new additions. Marissa is mommy.
Marissa? No, Manon, man.
No, Marissa is mommy. I want to be pulverized like a watermelon between her thighs.
I would like to be swung around like a French ballet artist.
All right, so we're putting Street Fighter 6 over Resident Evil 4, which is fine with me. I'm happy as long as RE4 is above Alan Wake 2.
You know what? Fine, I'll take. You know what? That's fine, because I also think RE4 is above Alan Wake 2.
Okay,
I will absolutely
keep our horror games together.
RE4 is absolutely, I think, a more superior game.
Just for the sake of discussion, we have talked about everything in here. Are we just okay with Zelda 2, Baldur's Gate 3, or do we want to get into that?
That's what I was wondering.
So,
do you think the passion for Baldur's Gate runs higher?
Oh, much more. Yeah, 1000%.
If that's the case, they should be flipped.
Are you telling me I might actually have the political will to get Baldur's Gate 3 high?
Matt's hot on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I am so staunchly against it.
Okay.
So
because of the reasons that you have listed about Divinity 2. In comparison to Baldur's Gate 3, it's Larian being Larian, and I know this is just Legend of Zelda being Legend of Zelda.
I was going to say it's Breath of the Wild plus.
This is bonkers.
Sean, is Tears the King
Baldur's
of the
Gate 3 is,
yes.
Baldur's Gate 3 is also bonkers
in
some of the same ways. That's kind of why it's like, the reason I ask is I personally rank Zelda higher. Right? Randy has no skin in the game.
No, but I would probably throw my hat into the ring of the one that focuses on like story and narrative more.
So Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, but okay. Not that my vote should count. But if I had one, I find the conversations around Baldur's Gate 3 more compelling.
Yeah. That's a big reason for me too.
I understand and concede story wise
Yeah, they're going for different things.
Yeah, that they're telling a great story.
Like,
I think that the only argument for me would be, like Legend of Zelda is like, and again, I don't have like Legend of Zelda like obsession. I couldn't even fucking play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I'll just put it to you that way.
Yeah.
But the additions to this game and the like, I always make this point with like Nintendo games, and I felt the same way with Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a certain level of like just wonderment and joy that you don't need dialogue for.
Mm-hmm. And
then in this game, Tears of the Kingdom specifically, the literal rule book is thrown the fuck out the window.
Yeah. And
I just feel like a narrative is important, right? And I don't think that Legend of Zelda has the narrative. And there's definitely a system basis for Baldur's Gate where you're using like D&D, and it's very expansive. There's a lot of shit that works that you don't figure out that it works until it works, and then you're like, oh shit, that's dope. I don't know. For me, obviously, if I played Baldur's Gate 3, I might feel differently, and I think that's what really kills my argument. It's because I didn't have the time to sit down, maybe even for like 10 hours to experience. But
if you'll recall, about a year ago, we were sitting in this very room and we were talking about Elden Ring versus God of War.
Don't do this. I went back on that.
And
now you're arguing against it? So this is just the same argument in reverse?
I feel very similarly to that I did to this, where it's like Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda excel in the same areas. A
lot of player freedom.
It's all freedom. Yes. It's all emergent gameplay, and it's like Baldur's Gate 3 is really good at it, but Zelda really good at it. Really good at it. And the problem is that, again, like God of War and Elden Ring, it's like God of War was like, for me, God of War was like, this combat is really good, but I'm here for the fucking story. Whereas when I played Elden Ring, I was like, I don't give a shit about what any of these people are say. There's like 5, they got rings on, I think. One of them's Elden. That's about all I know.
Yeah.
Let's fuck some people
No, I think
up.
his name was Alden.
Whatever.
I don't know how they got Elden out of all that.
But when I play Zelda, it kind of like was what Randy's just saying about Resident Evil, where you're just like, okay, I need to stop, and then you see another shrine.
Yeah.
Or you see another thing you can explore. And it's just like every time I entered a new area, the game was just begging me to solve it in a different way. Whereas Baldur's Gate, for all the freedom that it gives you, for me personally, it was just like I had stuff to fall back on. I had my Eldritch Blast, and God damn it, I'm going to use it. And like personally, I just think that it's a tough thing to talk about because Baldur's Gate has some of the best writing ever, especially in one of these kind of RPGs, and Zelda has some of the worst writing.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I think I could explain Baldur's Gate better and sell it to people better. Zelda is hard to sell why the magic is there, but the magic is there. And like, you know,
yeah, I get what you're
not to
saying.
pull this card, but like Baldur's Gate was practically falling apart when I crawled across that finish line with all my limbs broken.
Wow.
Because that game could not handle itself towards the end. It was crashing.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I only got to Act 3 like a month after you, and I had a much better experience than that. Still not bug-free, but definitely not.
Yeah, I had a lot of bugs with people like not appearing in the camp when they were supposed to, and I had to like save scum it a little bit.
Did you have some bugs where just like your party members just had no clothes on?
No. I had a bug where...
it was totally a bug.
Just a bug.
Just a bug. Oh.
Not a feature. We're taking that out.
Yeah. And it's like Zelda was such a sound experience, and it was like that thing where you like you said, where you're just like, what if I did this? And then it always worked.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to argue past that pretty much. It's like, I don't know.
And Baldur's Gate was a thing where it's like, is this going to work and is it going to break? Those were two questions that I had. And I found the beginning parts of the combat in that game very frustrating, and I found some of the bugs that I encountered at the end very frustrating, but the writing more than made up for it. So personally...
You've been waffling. I feel like you've been on my side, and then you've been off my side.
I know. I love both of these games a lot, but personally, I'm going Zelda over Baldur's Gate.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
I did not expect that.
I mean, that's how my list shook out.
So, Matt, I'm just kidding. Well, before Andrew, I think, comes back with the rebuttal, but Matt, what is your game of the year?
It's probably potentially going to become Baldur's Gate because I know I'm going into it soon, but Resident Evil 4 was my most fun. That was like, it's like if gauging, like none of them.
Where were you like 20 minutes ago?
Because I knew I knew that I was not going to back Andrew down from, what do you call it? If you want my opinion, okay, and this is going to be very contentious, take Legend of Zelda, put in the 6 slot, and then just bump everything up. I would prefer that. I am not hot on Zelda.
Wow.
I will say this. Ready?
You hate fun. That's all there is.
I think we're definitely deciding the second and third place.
I know. But I'm just saying, it's like, here's my pitch. I was very hot on Zelda as I was playing through it. It was thrilling, and I've only played Breath of the Wild a few years ago, and I was thrilled to be back in it. And I went through it, and it's just like, I loved exploring the spaces again, all over again, because there's just more to see. But then it's like, once it was done, the magic wasn't there for me anymore, and I'm like, it didn't hit like Breath of the Wild.
If you'll allow me to rebut you,
the magic is not.
You
the
did
finale.
do everything.
I feel like that's a valid way to play a game, and a game that lets you do it anyway.
Sure, but let me just forewarning: if you try to do everything in Baldur's Gate, you're gonna be there for a while, and you might.
So I think I learned that lesson too from Divinity Original Sin 2, because I wasn't trying to do everything. I just thought, I'm just like, you see it, and I'm like, I want to clear it out, and I was like, I wasn't searching for everything, but I did try and do everything I found.
Mm-hmm.
But Zelda, I think I had a lot of fun while I was playing it. It's a good game. I would say it's Breath of the Wild plus. I think that is its biggest detraction, in my opinion. I'm just like, it feels like it was just kind of a DLC or a mod for Breath of the Wild.
I feel like Breath of the Wild plus is a little reductic. I think
I thought you called it that.
I mean, I did.
Yeah,
as a joke, but like it transforms Breath of the Wild in a way that I wasn't expecting it to. It throws out everything Breath of the Wild did, well, from like a mechanics perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say,
reimagines what that game
You're
is.
literally adding a top layer and a bottom layer, and then you are giving, like, I know there's not a massive expansion, but what you can do with just that, the molding power, and then the batteries that you have and all that. It's just, I feel like there was I don't know, I guess like it sounds redundant, but it's like there's no one way to go at anything. I don't even think there's like 10 ways to go at anything.
And there's no one way to go at anything in Baldur's Gate either.
Which is not putting more up for it. So,
Andrew, what do you think?
Wait, and I will say my part for Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, okay. Obviously, I'm not very far in.
Saving yourself for Baldur's Gate, keep it special.
But my argument is, I think this is the same reason I conceded last year on God of War versus Elden Ring, is the conversations around it. I've had multiple people who I know are not big gamers come up to me and tell me, I'm starting my second run. And just like Elden Ring, where it's just like you have this mass appeal, I'm like, this is a hard core action game that it's just like, and it's like, it's bringing all these people in. I'm like, this is a very long form RPG that people I know are just like, who I would not expect to have the patience for a game that long, are telling me I'm going through my second run now. And it's like, wow, that is incredible. I'm like, I love the conversation surrounding the game, and I love any game that gets more people into gaming in a way I wouldn't have expected. Like, you expected this stuff for like cozy games, Stardew Valley and stuff like that. Just like, but I'm just like a fucking 60-hour plus D&D title. Holy shit! It's like that's
fucking in it.
True, actually true.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
but
well,
that was my thing.
I had to edit my save in order to sleep with Karlak because the game bugged out.
You can't see this, listeners, but I'm tipping my fedora to you, sir.
I've ranted about this before with the video game awards. I'm like, the game you give Game of the Year should be very accessible. It should be a thing that it's like has. I think it's like it doesn't have to be the most broad appeal, but I feel like it should have broad appeal.
What if you can't read?
I
don't know if I would describe it as broad appeal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that you are looking at the volume of people talking about Baldur's Gate and saying that it has broad appeal and that it's accessible, which is insane to me to not say that Zelda is accessible and doesn't have broad appeal.
You're right. It's like if I have to say which one is more accessible, it's like you're right. Zelda is.
It's just that people weren't surprised that they like Zelda.
That's the thing. It's just like it just feels like it's like I thought it was very fun, and I'm just like it just feels like I'm like I don't know. It just didn't feel like it had the impact on me. I was like, it was a good game.
Sure.
And that's
all right.
Yeah.
Andrew,
hit it.
So last year, Elden Ring became my second favorite game ever, right under Skullgirls. Except this year, it's already dethroned down to number 3 because now it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Holy shit!
Jesus, God! The Skullgirls comment is the most Andrew thing I've ever heard.
I have listen. I've played plenty of RPGs. It's rare that I play a game that is 100 hours long and immediately decide to start it over again. But that happened 2 years in a row now, and that's wild. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, I finished it the first time, and I was like, oh man, I got a crazy idea for a stupid team build I want to do. Did it again, and it was ridiculously effective. Like, a game that started off being really hard, and then by the time I had figured everything out, and I was like, oh, what if I started this over again with this other build? And then it was fun for, like, a completely different reason, and you do get a lot of, those Zelda moments, Sean, where you're just like, oh, I could try this, and it will probably work. And in a lot of cases, too, because Baldur's Gate 3 gives you nearly perfect information at all times, you can usually just mouse over a thing or click examine on it or whatever, and it will tell you, like, okay, here are all the statuses of it, and here is, like, the category of thing that it is, and you have your spells that will always do X on Y, so as long as Y is the right type of thing...
So you don't have to think very much is what I'm gathering.
What's that?
You said it's pretty straightforward.
You're just
so you don't have to think very much. So the game plays itself.
It's like a political rally now.
Whereas with Legend of Zelda, you actually have to be creative. I see.
So it's funny because I think that was kind of what Austin was getting at, is that there is the straightforward approach that you can fall back on, but you can get really creative with problem solving. I know for a fact that people will bring up all kinds of ways that they broke the game just with invisibility and flight. And it's like, oh yeah, of course, that makes total sense, right? Yeah, there's all kinds of like shenanigans you can like get yourself out of if you can just traverse a distance or nobody sees you. So that makes a lot of sense. But then like it doesn't stop there, Yeah, and the writing is fantastic. The combat is like it plays out like XCOM, but is somehow an even better XCOM. It's hard to actually think of anything that I disliked about it, and I did have a significantly less buggy experience than Austin did.
We're not even fighting for number one.
At the risk of at the risk of it coming down to another 2v2, and then I am a decider of two games I haven't played.
You already said Baldur's Gate. I fucking loser.
Well, I think I don't know if it. I mean,
what do you hate more, fantasy or Nintendo?
Jesus Christ.
No, that was what I was going to say is that it's like which one has the stronger,
Stronger what?
Yeah, okay, we'll break this down very easily. Narrative? Narrative?
No. That wasn't I wasn't going to categorize it. I was going to say Andrew just claimed that it was like his second favorite game of all time.
I don't care what you think.
And so I was like, how, I know you both
won't care
are
what
going
I think until
Zelda
next year when he realizes how good it was, and he was like, "Andrew, I'm so right." Like he did this year. We'll just make that a thing.
Oh, listen, I seceded
I'm just trying to get us to the station here.
I seceded story to gameplay, or vice versa. Last year, I lost gameplay to story. Last year, this year, I'm losing story to gameplay. You motherfuckers! What do you value?
Oh my
good narrative?
It's like Baldur's Gate 3. Zelda is like going for a nice walk in the park and something fun happens. You like get like the lollipop guy comes around, you get a lollipop, and you're walking your dog and it's all beautiful.
Are you turning again?
And then Baldur's Gate 3 is like you get to the top of a very rocky mountain and ride your BMX bike all the way down and don't break all your limbs. And you're like, hell yeah, I did it.
I can pretty much sum this up. I was getting kind of comedically frustrated, but like, you got Baldur's Gate, which has incredible narrative and pretty damn good like gameplay and mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, in my opinion, I mean, take it or fucking leave it in the story, in the narrative of fucking Legend of Zelda.
It's okay.
I mean, there's kids creaming their jeans for the last 3 to 4 years waiting for this game to come out. And then you have just like exemplary, in my opinion, exemplary gameplay. Can't even speak.
Yeah.
So if we're averaging those two out, in my opinion, I think like Baldur's Gate has the better average.
He's gonna say it.
I don't want to because I'm losing again.
I'm sorry, Sean, but I think for the sake of time, for the sake of a stalemate, I think we concede and let.
I
Baldur's
literally,
Gate go
when
second.
those three lined up, I was like, perfect. We don't have to do anything. This is fine.
I'm sorry I brought this on us, but.
Yeah, let's do it.
I thought for sure Nudaboom would have been fighting harder in Zelda's court. I was
no,
shocked.
He's a fucking turncoat, just like last year.
No, but here's the thing. It's like there's nothing like I don't hate Baldur's Gate 3. I admire Baldur's Gate 3, and it's like Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know. It's kind of left a lukewarm impression on me, and like when I think
How many
about
hours?
which if it's coming
Too
down,
many, like
yeah,
200
I know.
Listen, if it's coming down to between those two picks, like Baldur's Gate is the stronger pick in my opinion. If it would have been between Baldur's Gate and something else like Remnant or Resident Evil, it's like then I would have fought probably harder for the other game. But it's just like between those two picks, it's like I don't know.
This motherfucker.
Yeah, he's just
we're gushing about Remnant 2 and Resident Evil, and he's over here just not saying a thing.
Hold on, but dude,
he literally hates all of us.
No. Hold
I ain't budging
the
on
fuck on. You guys decided beforehand Tears of the Kingdom. I was saying the entire time. I was just like, I was saying the entire time. I was like, I think there are better picks than Tears. I said so.
I think you spent too much time in Hyrule.
I mean,
wherever the fuck this one's set.
My game of the year list is Remnant 2, Zelda, Hi-Fi Rush, Baldur's Gate 3. So I ain't mad at Baldur's Gate 3 getting 2. Just like I'm not mad at Remnant being number 4, even though it's amazing.
And we're all so high on Hi-Fi Rush that there's no way it could have gotten.
Yeah, I'm the only fucking.
There's no way.
I'm the only dented head moron that played Atomic Heart to completion, but left Hi-Fi Rush sitting and waiting.
I will say, like, just real quick on Hi-Fi because I have to like get this out. There's like that. I love that. Like it's the release that resonated with me the most in years. I think combining a music rhythm game and a character action game is magnificent. You know, the soundtrack, both licensed and unlicensed, is incredible. Like the way it, like they sync the action, the combat up to the beat. It's the perfect length. Quick punchy tutorial. Yeah, the move customization and unlock system. It's so cool.
You guys can't see it, but
I think it's the best in the genre ever made.
Puddle.
Plus, it has to do it for minimal.
Randy's getting wet.
Just dripping from the chair. I think, let's get it. Let's wrap it.
Where else are you able to jump around as a robot cat to 9 Inch Nails?
You can't.
Hi-Fi Rush is the character action game that made me understand character action games, and now I am playing more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Nice.
you go.
Yeah.
This man cannot be trusted.
It's one of my favorite.
Now is coming around the character action games.
It's one of my favorite genres, and this is the best one.
Yep.
In that genre.
So are we doing?
Yeah, Baldur's.
Wow. Okay. I was gonna say I thought I wasn't gonna be able to push it because like I'm still just playing it.
To be fair, you didn't push it. Andrew saying it's his second favorite game of all time is what pushed me over there.
That's fine. I was like, I feel like I'm like I don't know if I have a right to push it.
I mean, and I know me and Andrew have been talking about this game for months. And are still talking about it. So like, yeah,
that's it.
And it like ultimately at the end of the day, I loved Zelda a lot. But a gun to my head, if you were to tell me to replay one of the two, I would replay Baldur's Gate
There
before I
you go.
replayed Zelda.
I would replay
And
Breath of
I
the
cannot
Wild
wait
before-
until Divinity 3 comes out, and you guys are all like, "Oh, it's the best fucking thing ever."
Is Karlak in it?
No.
Then I don't care.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a fundamental issue.
The gavel has
You
been
are a
banged.
problem.
The Hot Button 2023 Game of the Year is Hi-Fi Rush.
I want to put the perfect drug by Nine Inch Nails under this.
Yeah, with Baldur's Gate 3 as our runner-up. But before I count off the rest, I'm going to do a quick summary of who we awarded things to in both Part 1 and today.
Okay.
So, our best aesthetic winner was Hi-Fi Rush and Pizza Tower. Best narrative, Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2. Best character was Chai from Hi-Fi Rush and Karlak from Baldur's Gate 3. Our best moment was the We Sing chapter, like the section of Alan Wake 2 with House of Hope from Baldur's Gate 3 after. And then biggest surprise is a Lethal Company and Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Most disappointing is Starfield and Atomic Heart. The worst game we played is Red Fart. Oh, no, wait, hold on. I still had it.
Red Fart?
Red Fart. I wrote it in as Red Fart. And
Sorry about that. Just trying to remind everybody.
the worst game that we didn't play the day before. And finally, arriving at the top 10, starting at the bottom, is Lethal Company at number 10, Mortal Kombat 9, or Mortal Kombat 1 at number 9, Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 8, Alan Wake 2 at number 7, Resident Evil 4 at number 6, Street Fighter 6 at number 5.
There's a lot of numbers that are...
Remnant 2 at number 4. God, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom 1 at number 3. No. Baldur's Gate 3 at number 2. Hi-Fi Rush at number 1. That was hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in there that didn't match up.
Man, so this was the year of Hi-Fi Rush, Baldur's Gate, and Alan Wake. Man, those hit the tops.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's like there's so many in that top 10. There were so many games that didn't win in the other categories. I guess probably because it's like
it's funny. I've said that over the years. That is very much a Nintendo thing. They prioritize a very specific thing that they are really good at. But you're never when the Game Award nominees come out, you're never going to see Nintendo win anything for art or writing.
Yeah.
Like,
but also I'm just saying it's like the
not
fact
that that's not that that's like a. You know, I was that came off incredibly like.
Yeah, no, it's like
you get what I mean.
It's like looking back at it now, it's just like I'm a big fan of variety in it, and it's just like, and I'm just like, man, we really Alan Wake, Hi-Fi Rush, and Baldur's Gate 3 all dominated. But then again, all 5 of us are big fans of at least one of those 3.
I think
so it's like
how it shakes out.
My favorite Game of the Year discussions was actually in 2021 when every outlet had a different Game of the Year, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
like because, and that's nothing against like Elden Ring last year or a lot of stuff with Baldur's Gate this year, but it's like I think 2024 is not going to be a better year for games, but it's going to be a pretty crazy like a award cycle. I think I'm predicting another 2021 where it's going to be spread out across a whole bunch of like.
And we're the only outlet that gave Game of the Year to the rightful winner, Hi-Fi Rush.
Damn right.
That's true.
But so thank you all for listening. Thank you guys, of course. We're gonna go relax for a bit.
I hate it here.
We've got loads more of weird and true stories in the world of gaming
last year.
Yeah,
coming soon.
What happened to Returnal?
Be on the.
I'm still sour about that. I can't fucking walk away with a win.
There's awesome shit ahead, though. We promise. If there's anything else anyone wants to.
Thank you for listening all the way through all of this. If you want to hear, if you didn't hear part 1, even though Randy spoiled it, you can go to hotbuttoncast.com and hear all about our aesthetic spoiler categories. Maybe you skipped part 1 and you would like to hear our discussions after you've played a couple of these games, because there were some spoilers in part 1.
Yeah.
You can find that at hotbuttoncast.com, also all the podcast services. And after this Game of the Year is done and edited and out, we will be back to working on our usual dev stories and controversies and all that. So tune in for that on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook @HotButtonCast.
Woo!
Sayonara.
I'm hungry.
Marinara. Yeah, I got a burger waiting for me. Good night.
Later.